Dandadan.
This show is fucking horse shit, alright?
This show is
I watched it for like at least 40 minutes and I did not see one Dan in this anime.
This show is it didn't their program be showing the trash, you know what I'm saying? And welcome to another episode of your favorite mentally ill anime podcast.
If you'd like the context, to know the context of that joke, subscribe to the Patreon.
Subscribe to the Patreon for the whole first bit of this whole episode. I don't even remember how I think we started talking about dreams and then how we were going to. It's a lot of insightful commentary for a couple minutes before we start the episode.
Really gives you some insight into our mental states talking about fall 2024 anime.
Please, what we're saying is please subscribe to our Patreon. We really need the money.
You know what? I don't even care if you subscribe to the Patreon. Just like, I don't know, rate us on fucking iTunes or some shit.
Rate us on iTunes, buy our stickers and like put them up around like bathrooms and stuff.
Don't give us money. Just fucking
just spread the word. Spread the gospel of the Weeb Crew.
That's more important.
And today is not the first episode of 2025, but it is the first one we're recording of 2025. And in my opinion, this is the first episode of season 3 of the Weeb Crew.
Because technically, I think I'm going to put out season 2 because there's going to be a strong distinction since we're going from bi-weekly to weekly.
This is true. So we are going to start doing weekly stuff now, which I guess you could probably already tell since this is coming up 1 week after the most recent episode, even though I think we only put one up in December. But anyway, yeah, the plan for this year is, we want to do like weekly episodes that'll probably also just be generally shorter. And there's no other way to say it. I guess lower quality as well. So we're not going to have like a guest.
You can't sell us that way, all right? We can't tell people
we have to be
spread
honest.
The word and then say, oh no, we're going to put lower quality content out.
Yeah, lower quality content, but there's gonna be more of it. Because it's like we want to do more episodes, and I think obviously having a guest on every episode is kind of infeasible for us. Even doing it bi-weekly, it was kind of like a hassle just to like have like that sort of steady stream of people coming on and all that sort of stuff. And I think we're at a point. We have
jobs.
We do, yeah.
We like doing that, but like holy shit.
And I think we're just at a point now where it's like, I think we're confident enough just talking amongst ourselves. Like you go back and listen to our early episodes, like, oh dear Lord. But I think we're at a point now where it's like, okay, we're comfortable enough doing this, and we understand how to put these episodes together in a way that we can do it weekly. And I say it's going to be lower quality, but it's like, it's not going to be total dog and shit. These will still be good, hopefully. But yeah, it's not going to be like a 3-hour long interview with Patrick Galbraith or anything like that every week.
Listen, all right. It's still us. It's just nobody else.
Nobody. Although I still want to have people on occasionally, obviously.
Yeah.
But the idea is basically like we'll pepper those in rather than that being like the sole conceit of this podcast, essentially.
Basically, it's like every episode we've done where we just talked about like that season or anime of the year or whatever more frequently.
Yeah, basically. Like we're obviously watching a lot of seasonals, and we have been for like the last couple seasons. So like the next episode that goes up next week, that'll be like us talking about all the stuff that we've watched. Probably basically every seasonal that we've seen by that point, which might be all of them. I don't know when first episodes stop dropping for this season, but we'll be talking about winter 2025 next week. This week we're talking about fall 2024 and all the things that we watched, which was
very timely of us.
Very timely of us. Hey, I think that's probably still better than like when did we get the anime of the year episode out last year? That was like that was like late January or something.
God, I don't even know.
Do we want to do an anime of the year episode even?
I'm not against it.
Neither am I. I think we'd be interesting.
I'm also like, I think we've established this.
Yeah.
I don't think we care that much about anime of the year. January 31st.
So yeah, we're still ahead of schedule when it comes to like this stuff. But I don't know. Yeah, I guess we'll talk about. We'll figure something out because I would like to like talk about like 2024 just as a whole. Maybe not spend a ton of time focusing on like a ton of specific stuff. Just like highlights. Obviously, we talk about everything that we watched in 2024. The episode would be like 6 fucking hours long because we watched like 60 to 70 shows last year.
Yeah, about 70, 80 for me.
Yeah. But we're just going to talk about the fall season this year. So I've got a nice list pulled up from Anime Chart. I have all of the anime that we watched marked as watched and all the ones that we dropped or just watched the first episode because we watched the first episode of everything that came out in fall 2024 basically, and then based on that we were either like no, we gave it 3 episodes or we just followed through with it, and we ended up following through with about 20 some shows. I don't know how much we'll have to say about all of these, but we'll probably touch on each of them to some extent. I'd imagine.
We did not watch a lot of popular shows though. So
no.
If you're tuning in and you're like, oh, what did the Weeb Crew think of ReZero Season 3 or Dragon Ball Daima or Bleach?
No, sorry.
Didn't watch those.
Didn't watch those. I did want to watch, but I didn't get around to it. I didn't want to watch the new season of Sword Art Online Alternative, Gun Gale Online 2. I don't know why I announced that like I'm at the Crunchyroll Awards or something, but I did want to watch that because I did like season 1, but I just haven't gotten around to it. There's a lot of things here that I'm just going to be like, yeah, I wanted to continue watching that, but I haven't had the time to finish it. So I'll get to it eventually.
It was a pretty good season, honestly.
Not bad, yeah.
It didn't. Excuse me.
Get the cum out of your throat. There we go.
It didn't have like a lot of like the heavier hitters. Like it didn't have like a day-to-day destruction or whatever as consistently as like
there is a D show this season though that was pretty well acclaimed.
Oh yeah.
We'll get to that.
We'll get to it
in a minute.
But yeah, this was consistently pretty good.
Yeah, I was overall pretty happy with everything that we ended up picking up and staying with this year. I think, is there anything I really just did not like? Not really. Even like there are a few shows here, and this is an interesting trend with this season, which is like I feel like there were a number of shows that we picked up and then got better as they went on.
Yeah.
Like we were like, I guess we'll stick with this for 3 episodes, see what happens. And there were some cases where it's like, holy shit, this is fucking awesome.
Really damn good.
But let's talk about the exact opposite thing that happened. Uzumaki.
Oh God, what a great way to start this trade wreck of a podcast.
I honestly didn't hate Uzumaki. I thought it was fine. Obviously, did not live up to the hype. The first episode was phenomenal, and then it kind of like, I mean, visually speaking, anyway. Then it like drops off in the second and third episodes. I honestly thought it picked back up in the 4th episode, and overall, my opinion is that if it wasn't such a like drawn out production where it's like it's been announced for years, and I felt like every like couple of years we would get like some statement from like Nagahama or like Adult Swim, basically being like, "Yep, the show's still being worked on, guys. Just got to wait a little longer." That kind of like set expectations really high, especially with some of the promotional material they put out, some of the trailers that looked really nice. But if they didn't set such high standards for the show, such high expectations, I don't know if people would be hating on it as much. Obviously, Junji Ito adaptations have not gone over super well. But even still, I don't hate how the show looks. I think it obviously could look a lot better. And to a certain extent, they kind of like overreached with what they thought they could achieve. But I think the overall end result, they aimed for the stars, but like landed on the moon or whatever the hell that like statement is.
With the first episode specifically?
Yeah. It's kind of like just like generally known now that like the first episode was directed by Nagahama, who's done a lot of great work in the past. Mushishi, Detroit Metal City. What else? Movie?
I don't know.
He's
pulled
directed.
up.
Hold on. What the hell has he directed besides Mushishi and Detroit Metal? Oh yeah, The Reflection, which I remember because Gil and I we saw Nagahama at Otakon. I remember he talked about The Reflection. I forget what exactly he said. Damn, but he had some funny like comments on it. But why isn't it even showing Detroit Metal City?
Akunohana.
Oh yeah. Another, I guess.
The most, yeah.
Yeah,
like,
which was also controversial looking to say the least.
Yeah.
But basically the production pipeline for episode 1 was so arduous, and I guess the way they basically did it was like they rotoscoped it. But in a way that's kind of roundabout, where they had people like do like the actions and stuff, and I guess then that was translated into like a 3D environment. Or maybe they just did like the 3D environment and then drew over it. Something very arduous like that ended up really ramping up the production budget and putting them, I guess, really behind schedule. Obviously, things like COVID and that as well probably played a part. But it ended up I guess Nagahama was like booted off the project after episode 1. At least as director, he has storyboarding credits on all episodes, but only directing credit for the first episode. And for comparison, by the way, the new Lord of the Rings anime movie, War of the Rohirrim or whatever the hell, that basically used like the same approach to animation where they had people act it out. They used like motion capture to put it in Unreal Engine and then use that as like reference material for the animation. And that movie cost $30 fucking million. That's a lot for an anime movie. Most anime movies do not cost $30 million. And it ended up flopping as a result of that. So yeah, arduous production, especially in that first episode. Nagahama gets like booted off after the first episode. And the second through fourth episodes are just kind of like not bad, but they obviously do not have that same sort of level of like animation that you saw in the first episode, because they're kind of like, we need to hurry this up. This actually needs to be finished at some point.
Yeah, hot take. I don't really care about Uzumaki.
Oh yeah.
Not the anime.
Just
I don't care about the manga.
So you are already coming into this kind of like not like super excited or anything.
Yeah.
But you know, what you had to look forward to were the really nice visuals, and I mean, you got one episode.
Got one episode.
Yeah.
Even, I mean, this is just like personal preference. Like, this isn't like, oh yeah, this is fucking like objectively garbage or anything like that.
Sure.
But even Uzumaki at its like best in episode 1, I'm kind of like, I don't really see why the effort. Like, I feel like it's like reaching. It does really well in translating like the panel to the screen.
Yeah.
But I'm also kind of then just like,
aren't I just watching a moving manga?
Yeah, like why?
Yeah.
I don't feel like you were transformative enough for me to like it's obviously it's very good and like they put a lot of money into it, but I'm also like, this is a lot of effort.
It's weird because like Junji Ito's style is just very hard to adapt into animation to begin with. One thing I did remember Nagahama talking about at Otakon is like drawing the spirals and what a pain in the ass that was, and like how much his fucking hand hurt and stuff.
I can imagine.
Yeah. Which, by the way, man's a fucking trooper. At Otakon, he was like, he had like a thing where like he would like assign stuff, which Gil really wanted to check out because he's a big fan of Nagahama. But he wasn't signing stuff. He was giving everyone in line a personalized drawing.
Oh my God.
It took like hours and hours and hours and hours. But yeah, I don't know. Dude's fucking awesome, honestly.
Fucking based.
But yes, so Junji Ito's style isn't. It's difficult to translate into animation. This probably does the best way of like directly adapting his art style into animation, but it also kind of begs the question of like, why not do something different? Why, like, and I know like it's sort of blasphemous to be like, just, do something different for Junji Ito's artwork or whatever. But it's like, I don't know. I think that's a valid approach to take in animation. Obviously,
that's how I am with adaptations in general. It's just like, I already have the manga. I don't need you to put this 1-to-1. Like, there is a difference in doing something faithfully and just doing it 1-to-1, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like if you want to be faithful to it, but like you're going ham on the animation or whatever. Like I would say like Dandadan is like faithful, right?
Right.
But they're going like ham on, the visual style, the animation, all that. Just as an example. There's a difference in that and just literally just going kind of like 1-to-1, which I know they kind of like move stuff around.
Yeah.
From
it's
the
not
manga,
like you watch like the original Astro Boy, and that is literally like 1-to-1. Like I don't know how much of the original Astro Boy is subbed. I know when we watched Pluto, we went back and watched the original Astro Boy
World's Strongest Robot arc.
Yeah, that covered that arc. And those weren't subbed, but it was actually
just
very
read the
easy to
manga.
follow because you could just read the manga alongside it. It's slightly annoying because the English release of the Astro Boy manga is like flipped. So you read it like left to right, which is a little obnoxious. But no, it is basically just panel to panel. And when it comes to the anime. So, and you don't really see that though in modern manga adaptations, but
no,
even still, you do try to see people really try to capture the art style of the manga. And I think it is, while it can be really interesting and rewarding to see the art style of like a manga you really love, like adapted really well into animation, I think it can also just be interesting to see it handled in like a very, like Summon of the Gods is like a really good example of that, where it's like that art style is not going to work in animation. There's too many lines. No. It's too detailed. So what instead you have them do is they take a different approach with how it overall looks, but that is much more appropriate for animation, but is still able to capture at least that feeling of the manga and the way it looks, even if it looks completely different.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I'm like they're probably going to announce JoJo Part 7 here in not too long.
Didn't they already? Or was that a leak?
No, so that was like, they announced that they're going to announce something for an anime project. I say an anime project. They're not claiming to announce an anime project. They have like an anime event or something coming up, and they have like an announcement coming out over there, which 2 + 2 = 4. It's not that hard to figure out what they're doing.
I wonder what it could be.
The last time they did this, they announced Part 6. So, but I'm Part 7 is like notoriously super high detailed as far as like its art, because that's when it made the transition from weekly to monthly.
Okay.
And I'm like, you're not going to be able to adapt this into an anime at the same like level of fidelity or whatever. So,
oh no. And people have already always like complained about how like the JoJo anime looks.
Yeah.
I can just close my eyes and oh man, that's going to be a real shitstorm. Thank God I'm
not
a JoJo fan.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting.
It'll be interesting to watch. Maybe LA is on fire right now, and maybe the anime equivalent of that, but just a city burning down like we're in the 1800s again. But yeah, I don't know. Uzumaki, it was okay. It's a series of things happening.
Notorious train wreck Uzumaki was okay.
It was fine overall. I did not hate it. It's even beyond it, like, it looks like lackluster episodes 2, 3, and 4. I mean, the story itself is like non-existent. It's a series of things happening, and some of them are creepy. Sometimes they're really silly, and I feel like intentionally silly to an extent.
Silly.
I don't know. That's an interest. It's like an interesting mix of like horror and comedy that I don't think is unintentional. If I'm going to be honest. Like the spring guy, come on. There's no way. That's not funny.
Listen, all right. the fucking roving Bokusoku gang of like people that jump into the air and may form tornadoes. Those are completely dead serious.
What are you talking? Like the snail people? Oh man. Yeah, I mean there is still like effective horror in there, but it is like I don't know. Yeah, I can see also why you wouldn't necessarily care that much for like Uzumaki in general.
That's what we need to start calling it, the Uzumanga.
The Uzumanga. So, but you're the Naruto expert. How does this tie in?
I think this is a prequel.
Okay.
Because like you see at the end, like the world like fucking just decimated.
Something, yeah. Or like this one city. I don't know what happened at the end.
Well, that's the Hidden Leaf Village.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so they built the Hidden Leaf Village over the whatever the fuck happened at the bottom there.
I see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, check it out. I guess there's a good chance you probably already have.
I don't know.
Temper your expectations if you have any interest in it and have not seen it yet somehow. But I don't think it's terrible. I really struggle to like hate it like the way a lot of you like. I can understand being disappointed, good. But yeah. Speaking
of something that we can actually recommend that people probably didn't watch.
Yeah.
365 Days Till the Wedding.
Yes, not to be confused with 365, the Charlie XCX song, or 365 Days, a Netflix movie about a woman who was kidnapped by like an Italian mobster who is like, you fall in love with me within a year or you can leave, I guess. I don't know.
I don't think anyone's getting any of those confused with this.
And probably not. What I was surprised by, though, is that this is an adaptation of a manga from the guy who did The World God Only Knows and 16-Bit Sensation, which is like, what the fuck?
I did not expect this out of that guy.
No, yeah, he has quite the amount of range. And I think our takeaway watching this, so for context, what the story is about is these two coworkers, they work at like, what is it, like a tourism travel agency thing? Something?
Yeah, it's a travel agency.
Yeah, and basically there's like this thing where it's like one person in the office has to be, oh no, shipped off to work in Alaska, I guess.
No.
And they all hate the concept of, I guess, leaving. In the manga, I think it's like Siberia or something. But I guess they all just hate the idea of leaving Japan. And the idea is like
they don't want to be with the whiteys.
Yeah. The company is looking for someone who is single, so they don't have to like move like their whole family out to America. So the story then basically follows a planned marriage fraud between this guy Takia, who is this kind of like awkward, socially introverted, kind of otaku guy, and this other girl in his office, Rika, who he's not
even like an otaku. He's just a
guy.
Yeah, he was like a normal kid, and then like he just kind of just doesn't have anything going for him except his cat.
Yeah, and
that's
Rika,
all he really cares about.
Rika is like an actual like map or like geography otaku, basically.
Yeah, she's an otaku. Maps.
Yeah, she's awesome. And basically they have 365 days, 1 year to do this relationship thing and get married, so neither of them have to be shipped off. And it feels like this would work better as a J-drama.
It does feel like a J. I literally, there's at points I'm literally just like, this is just Densha Otoko.
I would love to watch this as a J. Is there a J-drama? There very well could be.
Yes, there is. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, that sounds delightful. We should watch. Oh yeah, there is. Yeah, we should watch that. Is it on Amazon Prime? Interesting.
Even some of the posters look like a J-drama poster.
Yeah. But it's a cute romance story. It's nice. It's nice. Not exactly one of my favorites of the season, but I liked it. It was cute. It was wholesome. It ends. I guess.
Was this done by the same guy who did Tonikaki Kawaii? Did he also do that manga?
No, different guy.
Apparently, like, there's a character, like in the manga, they have like a character crossover for season 2 of the anime.
It's like a Golden Time Nana thing?
I guess, but like, it's only in the manga, because the anime didn't have it for this, but the anime for Tonikaki Kawaii did.
Huh.
So I'm like, what the fuck what?
That's interesting. I wonder because it's like, does the manga end where the anime ends? Because I talked to like Zen
the
about
11
it.
volumes.
Yeah, but I talked to Zen about it, and he seemed to imply that there's like more after, which I don't know how that's possible. Because if for context, I mean, without spoiling anything, it is basically a complete story told in 12 episodes.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going to get baited into like a season 2 or anything. It is just a nice self-contained story. And there are a number of those this season that we'll get to talk about. But
my guess is that they kind of just at some point they kind of finish the conceit and they just kind of delve into it as a romance or something.
Yeah, maybe. I know.
That would be my guess.
I know towards the end, you got really fucking annoyed about the romance stuff. You're like, these fucking assholes being like, oh, I love your hair. Oh, I love you. I love the way you rock.
It got really annoying, okay? Like, I was rooting for him, right? Like, you're like, oh, these are some cute characters. Look, granted, I'm saying rooting, but it's not like I was super invested.
There's a ton of obstacles in the way.
Yeah, it's not like it's like the fucking greatest fucking romance or anything. So, like, yeah, you're behind the characters. You're like, they can get together. And then they finally, like, spoilers, I guess, if it wasn't fucking obvious, they do kind of get together. You know? They get together and then they're like, oh, I'm just so happy. Oh, I'm so glad I can watch his shadow. I love listening to his. I'm just like, shut the fuck up. What are you doing? I don't want to hear this for fucking 20 minutes. Stop being fucking happy, you pieces of shit.
you like how like in like the Tatami Galaxy, it's just kind of like, oh yeah, that's also a thing that happened anyway.
Yeah, I'm fine with like them being like, okay, I some of my favorite romance stuff is like couple stuff, right? Like Urusei Yatsura, right?
Yes.
Like I like some of my favorite moments in that. I've probably talked about this on the podcast. My favorite moments are like when it's just like mundane, like he's reading some comics or something and like reaches for chips, they can't fucking find them, and she just like pushes the bowl to him. And, you know, it's a nice little wholesome moment, right?
Yeah.
I like stuff like that.
You don't like the gushy honeymoon stuff.
No, fuck that. Like, I don't need to hear, I'm so happy. I'm so glad.
Let's be clear. This is not a knock on the show, by the way. This is movie being like a cynical stick in the mud asshole. It's a nice show. Go watch it. It
is a nice show. Like, the conceit, we didn't how they actually kind of go about it is kind of weird. Like I remember there's like a part, they're basically just kind of like exploring the idea of commitment, I guess.
Yeah.
And like what it means to be married.
Yeah. You get that with the side characters too, even. Like there's the guy who
there's a whole arc where like a dude like gets divorced or something. And it's like, oh my God, he had such the perfect life. He literally just goes off the deep end. Like they find him in a bar and he like starts acting like a gorilla. You're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like they're in the middle. It got like really fucking weird. I'm like, what is this show doing right now? I don't know if I like where this is going.
Well, listen, you need to have like other stuff because it's like an office show. So you have all these like other people in the office, all these side characters to develop as well.
I guess like there are ways to go about it. I don't know if this is the way.
Yeah, nice romance.
Overall, it was cute.
Yeah,
I don't hate the show. Don't highly recommend it though. I mean, if it sounds like a interesting premise to you, it's not. I wouldn't recommend against watching it.
No,
I guess is the way to put it.
I don't know if there's going to be much because like we deliberately filter out things that we don't want to watch. So there probably won't be much here that we advise against watching.
Yeah, but there are things that I would. There may be like one show that we might talk about that I would not recommend.
Right.
But there are there's a distinction between shows that like I would say go check out and then shows that's like, oh, you can check it out. I'm gonna stop you.
Next on the list we have an anime with a name I'm always going to struggle to say.
NegaPosi Angler.
NegaPosi Angler, which I just instinctively now say is NegaPosi Angler.
I call
because
it MegaPosi.
MegaPosi. Oh,
In case it wasn't clear for anybody, we're going through this chronologically as when
basically
it aired.
based on when things have started. So if
So
you
if you're
want
like,
to follow along and see what we're going to talk about next, go into Annie chart for the fall 2024 season. You just like sort by start date.
because I imagine people are like, what? Why are we going from U to 3? But no, it's not alphabetical.
It's not alphabetical. It's complete chaos. NegaPosi Angler. See, I'm doing it still. God damn it. Is one of my favorite shows of this season. I thought it was great. I guess for context, what it's about is this guy. What the hell's his name? Sunihiro? Yeah, Sunihiro. He wants to kill himself because his life sucks. He has a brain tumor and all this stuff. Everything sucks. He owes like a lot of money to people.
They establish he's reached a dead end.
Yeah. So he's like, I'm just going to kill myself. And that's how the show starts. And then he learns to not want to kill himself through the power of fishing.
It's about because like the whole thing is like I think at first he like uses up he loses all of his life savings and shit.
Yeah.
In like crypto scams, and then he goes to the hospital and sees that he has like a brain tumor or something, and they like are like, oh, if you don't get the operated on, you could die.
Yeah, you
and
got like
that was just kind of like
a year or two probably.
Yeah, it's kind of like a kick in the ribs where it's like he was already like cornered because of the crypto stuff.
Yeah,
and then he's just like, well, fuck, I don't.
And then he has these like Team Rocket debt collectors on his ass the entire time. And like, where's our money, bitch?
I think he borrowed money from them after that, and then he just like spent it on like gambling and shit.
Yeah,
like, I don't think that was even connected to the.
I forget the precise chronology of the first episode, but yeah, a lot of bad things are happening to him. So while he's like running away from these debt collectors, he basically just ends up in the ocean and is picked up by this group of wacky fishing club. Basically, it's just a bunch of people who work at like this like bait and tackle shop, like they go out fishing together. And
they work at a convenience store.
Oh yeah, it's a convenience
bait and tackle shop.
Yeah. And they're like
7-Eleven.
Yeah, so he doesn't have a job, so they just hire him because they're like, yeah, we need someone here who doesn't like fishing, so we could have someone watch the shop while we're all out fishing. And it's basically about him like learning to like appreciate life and form connections with others and love himself and all this nice, wonderful stuff. Accommodated with a lovable set of wacky characters. It honestly kind of reminded me of Planetes in that regard, where it's like all these there's all these wacky people with their own lives going on, and you know, you get like an episode basically for each of them, kind of like detailing like, well, what's going on with this character or that character. And then couple that with some really, really nice animation. This is a Studio Nut. And one of the things that we immediately noticed about the show is that the characters kind of look like Fooly Cooly characters.
They kind of have some Gainax energy.
They have some Gainax energy, which makes sense because the director and character designer both originated from Gainax. I think got their start working on Die Buster and Gurren Lagann. So, you know, yeah, not quite Fooly Cooly, but
well, Nut did get they did start working on alternative.
Yeah, they did do Fooly Cooly alternative and shoegaze as well. So that probably explains like it's kind of hard. There's one of the main characters is Takaaki, and it's kind of hard to look at him and just not think that he's like the child of like Haruko and Kamina.
Yeah.
It's like, he
looks and like him.
Once you see that, you're just kind of like, I can't unsee this. There are even some like, you know, like little Easter eggs. It's like we see Naota briefly. There's some references to what are those other fishing shows that just like are referenced in like a single shot?
It's like I think one is like Donpei or something.
Yeah.
One is like elderly fishing. I forget Fishing Man. I can't remember the exact name of it. It's like an old something 70s like series.
Yeah. Yeah, really, really great show. I would honestly say I loved all the characters. People, I think, took issue with how like it's very like episodic and then kind of gets a little bit more serious towards the end. But I don't know. I just kind of expect a lot of anime to be structured like that anyway. And yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a really great show. Highly recommend it, especially if you really like slice of life. If you really like fishing, check it out. See Kenny Lauderdale.
I know people really like. I saw criticisms of it of like it doesn't really address like his condition for most of it.
I disagree.
And it's like, I mean, they're not wrong. To
an extent, but it's not completely ignored.
Him, right? Like it does get brought up in passing.
Yeah,
but it fits because like he's kind of running away from it, right?
Yeah,
like the whole thing is like he got run into a corner. He's like at his wit's end, and he's just like, oh, I just need to fucking like die. Like there's just no way for me to like fix anything. And then he meets these people that kind of like slow him down. They're like, hey, it's gonna be okay. We'll get you fixed up. And like, you know, he kind of takes his mind off of all the stress and stuff, and he's just kind of focused on day-to-day fishing and working at this bait and tackle convenience store.
Yeah.
And then they have to come back around to it because it's like you can't just run it. You're going to die.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's how it ultimately loops back around to it. But like, it makes sense that they don't address it in every like what it's not de-stressing the kind of yeah like it's about like him kind of like learning to like just decompress and find the value in life again.
The small things, you know, literally fishing as like an act of therapy, basically.
Yeah, it would not accomplish that if like literally every episode they're talking about how he's gonna die.
You know, we're all gonna die someday. It's like, oh, why would you bring that up to me right now?
Like, we'll get you back on your feet, and then we'll address what we need to address. All right,
just like it'd be really funny to just like walk up and down like the halls of like a maternity ward at a hospital and just kind of like peek in and like, you know, the mother like holding her child and stuff and just be like, your child's gonna die someday. Just leave.
What a cute baby.
What a cute baby.
They'll look really good in a coffin.
Their life will be characterized by suffering.
You ever hear the story of Sisyphus? One must imagine them happy, smiling like a baby.
But yeah, go watch Negative Positive Angler. It's great. I love it.
Unfortunate name.
Unfortunate name. I will forever just have to call it NegaPosi because I'm a fucking dipshit that cannot pronounce things correctly. Speaking of things pronounced incorrectly, Dandadan.
This show is fucking horse shit, all right? I watched it for like at least 40 minutes and I did not see one Dan in this anime.
This show their program be showing the trash, you know what I'm saying?
Showing it what?
It be drug dog poo poo.
I don't even know what you're saying anymore. That's
what Dandadan was missing. A cowboy.
Some redneck white trash character.
And Science Saru, just bring in Johnny from Tatami.
I don't believe in no ghost, but me and my grandpappy went down.
Let me tell you how I got an anal probe put in my ass by aliens. When I went out to the field and I was a little boy, so they picked me up with their tractor beam. Me and one of those cattle.
Me and Jed went out. We had to protect the cattle from this damn spotlight that was going around picking everything up. I was like, God damn it, Jeb!
God damn it! And,
this is a terrible band.
And the aliens took my penis.
They gobbled it up.
I'm now a Chinese eunuch, actually.
I don't know if we need to introduce Dandadan.
I feel like everyone knows what Dandadan is.
It's basically if the Fooly Cooly guys made ghost stories.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Even though there's like no staff crossover between any of these things that you're referring to with that statement.
Listen, all right, this is the spiritual successor to Fooly Cooly.
Yeah, what do we think of Dandadan?
it was really damn good.
It was pretty good. I shouldn't swear on the podcast, by the way. It was really good.
What?
What?
Since when?
It's not good. You should. I've been watching Kidding recently, the show starring Jim Carrey, and please use a nice word instead of a bad word.
Really damn good.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, what the fuck do we say that everyone else hasn't already said?
I don't know. People don't really. I mean, I guess there's people that like talk about the fucking occult stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, what did you like about it?
I liked the romance stuff the most. I think the best part of the show was like, so this show I expected honestly to be like my number one of the season, and it's not. It's like number like 4, which was very surprising. Yeah,
spoilers.
You have like shit taste.
No, I have say like boring taste is what the kids say.
So my favorite parts of the show is like the scene. It's like in episode 3 or 4 where like they're like wandering around the school looking for each other, but then at the same time in doing so they're like accidentally
missing
avoiding one another as well. I really like the stuff like that. I really like that kind of stuff. And then there's fucking stupid action. I'm just kind of like, yeah, that's cool to watch.
Actually, probably my favorite part. Not as far as like investment, but like the just general set pieces are like what I really like about the show. That's true. I think that's what elevates it for me, right?
Yeah, it is a very well made, good looking show, certainly. Also you just have like even like really nice like breakaway moments. Like I think it's like in episode 7 where you get like this like villain's backstory and it's like, holy shit.
Yeah, everyone fucking broke me.
Oh man.
It was a fucking good arc though. Moment or whatever. I think that's like what I really like and appreciate about the action is it is so like visually diverse. Like the whole chase sequence with this running Obasan or whatever.
Yeah.
The fight
Turbo
with
Grandma.
like the aliens in episode 1, the Loch Ness monster shit.
Yeah, like the
all these
to like Godzilla
and
minus
like
one.
the sumo alien dude. Like all these things are very visually distinct. Like just black and white in one. It's like all colorful green and blue in another. Like not only are they visually distinct, but they're also like one's a chase sequence, one's a fight, one's like sumo match. Yeah, like they're not. It's not just like a standard. Like, oh, we're gonna get stronger and beat them in this way, which is fine. Like a lot of shows do that and and do it well. But this is like kind of incorporating that kind of occult aspect in a way that's kind of more interesting.
It's a little bit more of like puzzle fights, essentially. And
sort of, yeah.
It's in that sense, it's honestly closer to something like Mononoke, which we did watch. I don't know if we'll talk about the new Mononoke movie, but we did watch that recently, which also looks very good. Go watch that. For me, I think it's a matter of the big 3 shonen that aired this year. You have like Dandadan, Kaiju number 8, and Elusive Samurai are like the top 3 for me, basically. And of them, I would honestly say Dandadan is my least favorite. Specifically because I don't know if I was really attached to the characters as I was in Kaiju number 8 or Elusive Samurai. Because in Kaiju number 8, it's just like very like straightforward. This is just like a shonen guy with like an interesting sort of like character outline, being like older, and he has this kind of like dilemma of not wanting to use his powers. I like all that stuff. In Elusive Samurai, the characters are just eccentric psychopaths, basically. And that's what makes those fights fun to watch. Here, the characters are fairly like normal, well-adjusted people in a lot of ways. Okarun is not a menace or anything like that. He's a pretty nice guy. Momo's a very like strong-headed Gyaru type character. So I think what the fights mainly have going for them is like that visual sort of stuff to them. Whereas I kind of, my thing is like, I don't necessarily really even care how much the fight looks as long as there's like a really strong like emotional component to the fights themselves. Like I just finished watching second season of Kinnikuman, Scramble for the Throne. I don't really know how you talk about Kinnikuman in terms of seasons because it came out like a decade after the original show. But obviously like something like Kinnikuman, fights are pretty like limited animation wise, but man, they still really have that kind of like core pathos there. That's what I'm there for a lot of the time. And for me, a lot of that stuff did not really come through in the fights. Again, I think it mostly came through in just like the sort of like mundane romantic interactions between Momo and Okarun. And that's why I think I like that stuff the most.
I guess I will say, like, I do think the characterization is really good. The visual set pieces are really good. I guess the thing that kind of like would hold it back for me is these things are not incorporated. Like, it almost feels like these things are segmented.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't really feel like the set pieces of stuff aren't really tied into the fights in the same way. I guess we talked about JoJo earlier. JoJo is a good comparison because like they are like puzzle fights, but then there's a lot of characterization built into them.
Yeah.
That kind of like builds on, like, that's how they do their character. There's not a lot of downtime in JoJo.
Yeah.
And so this doesn't really incorporate the characterization of Momo and Okarun like into the fights necessarily on like a high level. There's not like growth and stuff. It's just not. It's just kind of like we're excelling at this thing here. We're excelling at this thing here. The overlap is not a lot, but when they stop focusing on the other thing,
they do kind of inform each other. Like I like that, like Okarun like starts like working out and stuff because he's like, oh, I want to get big and strong because I'm like this like guy, and all this stuff going on. And like I like stuff like that. And it's almost like, man, I just wish the show is only downtime in some ways. It just gets occasionally interrupted by spooky hijinks.
Yeah, more ghost stories.
Yeah, more ghost stories. Yeah, well, I mean, overall still, I really, really liked it. Obviously, Science Saru does really like stellar work animation-wise. And it's nice too seeing that like there have been more shows coming out of the studio now, similar to Trigger, where it's like, okay, Yuasa does not need to be attached to a Science Saru project for it to like work and be successful, which is a good thing because you want to avoid being Studio Ghibli.
Yeah. You want to avoid putting all your eggs in one directorial basket. And no one else can ever take off because you fucking like oppress them under the boot of fucking Miyazaki.
Yeah, because Miyazaki's a megalomaniac asshole, whereas based on what I've seen of Masaki Yuasa, he seems to be much more open in terms of like cultivating talent and working with people. Do we need to recommend it, Dandadan? I feel like it was without saying.
Goes without saying, but if we have to, I would recommend it. Visually, it's really great. Looking forward to season 2.
Yep,
we'll continue to not have.
It does end. I guess it does end in like abruptly and like in an almost like non sequitur way. It was just like goodbye. It's like, oh wait, what the? I guess I'll sit on my hands for like the next 2 seasons, waiting for season 2 to come out. Okay.
It'll be fine.
It'll be fine. Yeah, go watch.
Honestly,
Dandadan.
I prefer that. I prefer like if you're gonna do it that way, I prefer that over like doing some like anime original shit to just like kind of cap it off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you already know it's coming out, it's like why even fucking bother? Right?
I know it is just very. It almost feels like a Gainax ending. Like they're like deliberately fucking with people. Like fuck you, goodbye. We'll be back in a bit. Yeah, go watch Dandadan. It's a fun show, or just watch like the TikTok compilations of it. Either or, it doesn't really matter. Nothing matters.
They're watching on their fucking phones,
on your fucking telephone. What's next? Movie. Tell me about
Magilumiere Magical Girls Incorporated.
Yeah, Monsters Inc., but with magical girls.
Monsters Inc.
I mean, that's basically the show.
This one's kind of interesting. So it's basically like magical girls become sort of commonplace, very corporatized.
Magical girls are wage slaves, just like everyone else.
They're wage slaves that are basically exterminators for these weird like magical creature things. Yeah, that are kind of amorphous. Like sometimes they're just blobs, sometimes they're like just the concept of fire.
They're not really well defined villains, but it doesn't matter. They're like a nuisance. Like you have like a fungal thing you need to be taken out. Yeah.
And so like it kind of focuses on like it's more like a nanoha where like the magic is, I guess it's magic or like
it's very technological.
Any sufficiently advanced technology will appear magical, I guess. Like
yeah.
Like concept they're going for. Because it's magic, quote unquote.
Quote unquote.
But like it's explained by like, oh, all the magic is coming from their like really high tech broom. Like,
high-tech broom and like the like programming of stuff on the fly and all these things and all that. No, it doesn't matter. It's like that's kind of just like set dressing. It's a magical girl show.
It does make an interesting dynamic for like the teamwork though, because
it
like,
does, yeah.
Most magical girl shows like, oh, we have to work together, but they're not like reliant on each other in the same way, right? Like they might not be able to beat this thing alone with like their own strength. But they just combine together to beat it. Whereas like this is like they literally can't do anything. Like they could do some things on their own, but they can't do most things on their own. Like they could, if they have like some spells loaded up in their little broom or whatever, they could use those. But like they have to have like a programmer on the side that's like sending them the spells that they need to be able to do these things without hurting people and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting dynamic.
It's interesting too to have like a third party basically be involved, but like they're completely removed from like the combat essentially.
Yeah,
like they need to like radio in, being like, I need XYZ loaded in right now.
I need a airstrike like loaded up on coordinates XYZ, and you're just like, oh.
There's also like an interesting underlying dynamic of like aesthetics versus like results essentially, which is it's like not a huge focus of the show, but it is like something that comes up on occasion, and it's like that's interesting.
You mean like because like there's that one group that's like their entire focus is like selling like product lines and makeup and stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Where like the main group is not really. They have like, it's weird. They have like an aesthetic focus, but they're not like entrenched in it.
Yeah.
In the same way the other ones are. Like they kind of have a very traditional magical girl kind of approach.
And there's probably some sort of like commentary there.
Probably. I mean, the first season is kind of short for what it's doing.
Yeah, which is weird because I finished it and I was just kind of like, there were a lot of interesting concepts invoked, but not necessarily like fully actualized. And I get this is like a manga adaptation that's like still ongoing, so it's like I guess
we'll get a sequel announced too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so season 2 is coming out.
We will probably check that out then.
I definitely will. This was like my third or fourth favorite of the year.
Oh my god!
Not the year. Sorry, the season
of the season.
Yeah, this like I'm actually, let me pull it up. It is my my second favorite of the season.
Oh wow!
Right behind Dandadan.
God damn!
I really wanted to like it more because like.
Mm-hmm.
It has a lot of like that sort of like hype ass energy, right?
Yeah.
He told me in this is a very much like a Kamina-esque character. Like she's just like they give her like a very kind of gravelly voice. Like she's like, let's kick some ass. And like she really gives a lot of energy to this. That kind of is like really hype. The soundtrack is really fun. Like it's funny, this show aired alongside a show that had Sawano on the soundtrack, and this soundtrack was so much more memorable to me. Like it had like, granted, I don't think all the tracks, but there's like one fucking track that they use like so fucking well. Yeah. For all like the action scenes and stuff. I was like, God damn, this is fucking hype as shit. I kind of wanted to see more of like the Japanese work culture aspect incorporated into the magical girl stuff. We kind of talked, for those who are listening that don't watch the YouTube, we did a video, a seasonal impressions or whatever, and I kind of talked about it there. I was looking forward to seeing how they kind of commentate on Japanese work culture, because they're taking the concept of magical girls, right, is like the hopes and dreams. Like they're kind of supposed to be as a conceit, they were brought about as like showing girls what they can ultimately become, because they kind of coincide along with like the feminist movement in Japan.
Yeah.
So like Miki Momo, you look back at her and like her magical ability basically just lets her become any profession. And that was supposed to be like representation for young girls to show them like, hey, you don't have to just be a homemaker or a nurse or a teacher, like these traditional kind of feminine jobs or whatever, right? You could be a horse jockey if you want, or a brain surgeon or whatever the fuck she does in Miki Momo. So it's an interesting concept to like turn the magical girl itself into the job, because it's supposed to be like, they were supposed to show you what jobs you could do, not necessarily be the job. But this is like commentating on that in that way. Right. They're just like, I want to be a magical girl. So I'm assuming like they will do that more with like the manga or the season 2. But I am looking forward to seeing kind of how they commentate on this as like turning this sort of hopes and dreams into this corporatized, we got to make money bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, this was really good. Just doesn't, it's like, again, we said it feels very short. It cuts it off kind of early, even though it's 12 episodes. It just feels like it cuts it off early. So you're like kind of left like, oh, well, it was good.
Yeah.
When
does season 2 come out? So I guess we'll report back being like, all right, yeah, no, definitely check this out.
Doesn't have
a release date yet.
Yeah,
but
it's just announced that they're.
I think if you're a Magical Girl fan, you should definitely like check this out.
Oh, definitely.
There's no reason not to.
This was easily, spoilers, this was easily the best Magical Girl show this season.
And it's not like there's heavy competition.
Well, there was like 3 or 4.
Was there?
I mean, like by the numbers, there was competition, but
yeah. Speaking of magical girls, let's talk about mecha anime, specifically Mecha-ude. Is it a mecha anime movie?
I guess technically, yeah.
Yeah, it's in the title at least.
I mean, it's not like a real mecha show. Like, well, yeah, it's not like because they're not
in the robots.
It's not like Bottoms or something. It's not like a political drama or anything like that.
No. It's generic in the best way possible. This was my 3rd favorite show of the year, not of the season. Not the year.
Yeah, see, you did the same thing I did.
God damn it, we're both stupid. This was honestly a really interesting surprise for me, and it reminds me of what we talked about. When we talk about Look Back, I remember talking about. I really appreciate that sort of independent feel that Look Back had, and the same goes for this as well, which makes sense because Mecha-ude started off as an independent, like OVA type thing, like a single episode that was basically put out.
Yeah, it was like a Kickstarter deal.
And then like expanded out. Yeah, that was like 6 years ago. And it was basically then expanded out into a set, like a 12 episode TV show, which is about basically this kid gets this robot arm attached to his clothing, technically. And hoodie. they have to fight all these battles because his arm is important, and there's all this sci-fi stuff going on. Do you like Kill la Kill? Do you like trigger stuff? I sure do. If you do, you'll probably also like this. It has Sawano on the soundtrack.
Very aesthetically similar to Kill la Kill.
Yeah,
like the arm, Alma, is very similar to like Senketsu in Kill la Kill.
Yeah. They have a very similar sort of dynamic. So basically, they like, they team up. They're a team, and they have to fight like all these different people. All these different shenanigans happen. They recruit. The villains become like the heroes and stuff like that. Very like archetypal type story. Again, kind of like generic, but I think it does it in a really, really, really good way. And I personally speaking, I honestly fuck with that sort of thing. So I really, really liked the show, and I'm honestly very interested in seeing what the director does next, because she's obviously done a lot of interesting work before, but not really a whole lot on like a commercial scale like this. So I'm definitely Sai Okamoto. Definitely interested in seeing and checking out whatever she does next. Definitely someone to keep your eye on, I'd say, because anything, all else, I'd say the show has some really, really strong visual components to it. Honestly, lots of nice action.
It's good. I feel like it didn't go far enough for me.
Mm-hmm.
Like if it had gone just full, like balls out, balls of the wall, fucking like Gurren Lagann hype beast mode.
Sure,
it would have been fucking perfect, right?
Yeah.
But it kind of played it a bit too safe and was a bit too contemporary for me, and I'm just kind of like, this is good.
It is somewhat constrained, because it, if anything, just maintaining that sort of like independent feel is just gonna like put some boundaries, some barriers in terms of what you're able to achieve. But even still, with like the final fight and stuff, is like it gets like ridiculous where they have like these wings and they're like flying around and stuff, and all this shit happens, and I'm just like, all right, hell yeah. And then it just kind of ends, and it's like, you know what?
Oh,
there are like a lot. I mean, there are problems with the show, but for me, it's almost like, the flaws themselves aren't really flaws for my enjoyment. They don't really like affect, if anything,
they add to its charm to some degree.
Yeah. It adds to its charm, is what I would say. If that's not your kind of thing, then you should probably avoid this. But for me,
it's generally my thing. It's just for me, I like part of what I do like about a lot of indie stuff is how they are passion projects. So generally, there's a lot of passion put into them.
Yeah,
and it comes through in the story. I guess that this is not an uncommon thing that happens with these sort of projects where like they get like drawn out or expanded out into like a full kind of 12 episode series, or and it kind of maybe stretches itself a bit thin.
You can see like the sorts of, I guess, storytelling stretch marks in a sense, because like it'll introduce a villain, that villain will be like dispatched, and then they kind of don't really have like anything to do after that, so it just kind of like the story resets itself a little bit. Oh, here's a new villain that they need to deal with, things like that. Which is fine, again, structurally, but obviously, your mileage may vary. But as someone who really likes the kind of tone that this story has, as someone who really likes the overall visual style of it, this is definitely up there for me for this season.
I will say, if you do like Kill la Kill for the complexity or the deep elements, this doesn't really have the thematics that Kill la Kill did.
No, but it has like the kind of like blood pumping aesthetics. Maybe not necessarily to quite the highs of like a Kill la Kill, certainly not a Gurren Lagann, but it gets you going, honestly, or at least it got me going.
Yeah,
if you know what I mean.
Because I do like those about like, I guess, the Maishi's like stuff where it is like that hype kind of stuff content, but like there's the stuff going on underneath. There's a little bit more latch yourself to.
Yeah,
this does not. Because I kind of was looking for. I'm like, what is this? I guess like the hand thing is like connections and stuff, but outside of that, it doesn't really have anything.
It feels like, and again, I don't think this is a bad thing. It feels like what would happen if you took like the drawings in a middle schooler's notebook and turned them into an anime. It has that kind of feeling to it, and I really like that kind of thing.
For better or worse.
For better or worse, yeah. I think it's a really cool vibe to go for, and I'm really overall, happy with how it turned out. So if that sounds like your kind of thing, go check it out. Honestly, I highly recommend it.
As critical as I've been of it, it is still like my fourth favorite this season.
Yeah, it was honestly, and it's a good show for like why we at least try to check out everything, is because you will get stuff like this. It's like, I don't fucking know anything about it. Oh, you go into it and you end up really, really liking it.
Yeah.
Speaking of things that we really, really liked, sometimes when we have mixed feelings on, I guess.
How mixed are we talking?
I don't know. I'm a few episodes behind on this now.
As of recording, I'm 3 episodes behind.
I'm on episode 7.
Technically, I think that still puts me at like the end of the fall season. So I've seen like a full cour's worth.
Moomy, what is
you're on
Orb
7.
about? Yeah, I'm on episode 7.
I'm on like 13. So
yeah,
I'm a bit more into it.
Does it get? I guess let's explain what it's about. Basically, it's about that the Earth is round and God doesn't want you to know it. All right, they don't want you to know that. They're trying to keep the truth from you.
Oh God!
The Earth is round. You see. Now they don't want me telling you this.
They're covering it up. The clockwork
It's a big government cover up that the Earth is actually round. Is basically what the show is about. That's like the easiest way to put it. Which my biggest hang up then going into this show is like that is very inaccurate to say the least. It's very silly with how it portrays like the medieval church and their attitudes towards like science and heliocentrism and all that. Mm-hmm. No one was ever burned at the fucking stake for saying that the Earth moves around the sun.
Yeah, I mean, was it Galileo? No, was it Galileo?
Yeah, well, Copernicus is from Poland, which is where the show is set. Copernicus never really caught any flack for that. He was never like, under like house arrest or anything like that. Galileo was, but Galileo also like, deliberately like, tickled the dragon's tail, essentially. He kind of, to a certain extent, brought that upon himself, and his house arrest could also just arguably be seen as a paid sabbatical.
Yeah, like he was convicted.
Convicted.
What's the word? I can't think of the word on what he like. They went after him for it, but it was more like he was spitting in the face of the church at some points, and that's kind of why. And that like the heliocentrism thing was not. I mean, it was kind of seen as like, blasphemous a bit, but it wasn't like.
Yeah, but even then, there's still like some popes at the time who were like, that's an interesting, because like the church funded a lot of like observatories all around Europe at the time, because as it turns out, they had a very strong vested interest in like knowing days and when things happen in order to like properly like understand like when certain biblical events would have happened, like the birth of Jesus or his crucifixion or anything like that. So it's not like it has this sort of our atheist mentality of like the Catholic Church is like, oh, they're so anti-science, they just want to hide the truth from us and all that, which like, you can have your criticisms of the Catholic Church. I don't think they've done a lot of horrible things in the past, to say the least.
And neither of us are Catholic, by the way.
No, I would say I'm an atheist.
This was not paid for by the Pope.
Yeah. But it does take the sort of, very it's annoying too, because like the show is all about this sort of like, speaking truth to power and all this sort of stuff. So it does get annoying then when, in order to tell that kind of story, it then also needs to be lying to the audience as a result.
Yeah. The immovable nature of truth, but
yes,
it's all built on the lie.
It's all built on a lie. That's my take on it. Apart from that, it's an certainly interestingly structured show, to say the least. Like, it takes a pretty hard left turn after episode 3, and you're like, I have no idea where this is going, honestly.
It kind of has like the built on the shoulders of giants approach, but like it kind of has felt like it moved away from that a bit. Like now we're just kind of focused on these other 3 characters.
Mm-hmm. It kind of becomes a different story to an extent. Similar concepts and ideas, but
it's almost like Attack on Titan or something, where it's like they start off and they're like, look, we're gonna kill everybody, nobody is safe, and then like it doesn't do it ever again.
Which, I mean, I do still overall like the show. I think it has a lot of really good moments of just sort of like really profound, like something you would see in like Vinland Saga, that really sort of like strong, like humanistic sense to it. It's just kind of annoying though, whenever it gets into like this like our atheism type beat of like, religion and truth and all that sort of stuff. It's like rambling about that, and I'm just kind of like, what are we doing?
Raphael is a very funny character.
Mm-hmm.
His thing with like Novak or whatever the fuck his name is in episode 3, where they're like debating, and he's like this fucking 12-year-old kid, and he's just like, I will die for my belief in the truth. This adult fucking what do they call him? Not crusader.
Inquisitor.
Yeah, this adult inquisitor that's like clearly would have come across this shit for like decades at this point.
Yeah. Which again, hilarious that we're using inquisitors for this. Not like, I don't know, gays or Muslims or Jews. Anything like that. Honestly, I don't even know how many of those people would have necessarily been burnt at the fucking stake. At least during this period of Polish history, but it is very silly in that regard. If you can get past that stuff, I think it's a really good show, though.
Yeah, we made the joke of like, this is like our atheism debates.
Yeah.
If was Light Yagami found his colleague as a Twitch debate streamer.
Yeah.
That fits Raphael very easy, like very well as a character.
Yeah.
And then Bedini, the guy who they introduced later, the fucking Bedini guy, is not really much better, honestly. But like, at least it's not like quite into, at least like now, I feel like it's picked up quite a bit now that it's kind of gotten the swing of things.
Yeah.
Since like episode, I don't know, I'd say like 7 or so. Like it's kind of been ramping up. The stakes have kind of been established. They're now kind of like getting into the swing of things, and now you're like getting into like, oh, what's gonna happen next?
What do we say with like Lex? This would make for like a really good like HBO miniseries, like a Chernobyl type thing.
Yeah, it would. I mean, honestly, it would. Like, there's really nothing about this that's like this would not work in live action.
Right. Yeah. What's interesting to me though is that the mangaka, the author Uoto, has another manga that is being adapted into an anime called Yakuza. I don't know. About like running, I guess, track runners. Directed by Kenji Iwaisawa. So that'll be interesting to see.
It's a movie.
Yeah, it'll be a movie. So
for those who don't know, Kenji Iwaisawa is the director of Ongaku.
Ongaku, Our Sound, one of my favorite anime movies, one of my favorite movies in general. So it comes out this year too. So yeah, I'll definitely keep my eyes peeled for that as well. But yeah, I don't know. It's Orb is still ongoing. That's a 2-core show from Madhouse. If all the stuff that I said about like like the church and stuff, if that doesn't matter to you, I would honestly really recommend the show. If stuff like that does not bother you at any capacity, and you like things like Vinland Saga, then yeah, check it out.
Yeah, I mean, visually, this is a very solid show. Like, it is high production quality. I mean, it's not gonna fucking blow you. There's no like Sakuga moment.
There's no
or something.
It's also not really that kind of show.
They're not going into space on a rocket and like fucking stars are like coming out like a huge socket. It's not visually like that, but it is very solid, very well produced. It very much reminds me of like Vinland Saga.
Yeah.
Maybe like closer to like Monster as far as like how grounded it is visually. But yeah,
it is thriller aspects in there.
Yeah, especially like now that like it's getting in the swing of things, I would say like, yeah, it's worth checking out. It does seem to get better. I don't know if it's gonna end well. Maybe it goes off to shit, but it seems like it's a positive trajectory.
Yeah, so I guess we'll check back in and we'll let you know in 3 months how it overall turned out. What's next? What else we got? Oh, it's the other Magical Girl show that I watched 2 episodes of. And I was like, that's
neat. Didn't finish this one?
No. What we're talking about.
I don't blame you.
What the hell's the name of this? It's
the girls who couldn't become magicians or something.
Yeah, MahoNare. And to basically explain what this show is, it's Little Witch Academia.
It is just Little Witch Academia.
Just not as visually strong. It starts off really visually strong, and this is a thing I've noticed with some JC staff anime recently, is that the opening scene looks really damn good, and then it kind of immediately drops off after that opening scene. You're like, oh, that's what the show's gonna look like. Okay.
Yeah, it's part of the problem is like that is the style they took for the flashbacks, but that's not the style of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And so like it starts off in a flashback, you're like, oh, this is really fucking good, and then it goes into the. I mean, it's still stylistically this similar. It's just not as strong, and you're just kind of like, oh, okay,
yeah. And then so. Yeah, I only watched 2 episodes. Not because I didn't like it, just because I fell off. Moomy, you finished it. What did you think?
Honestly, I wish I didn't finish it. I wish this is probably. I feel like the amount of shows I watched this season is a good amount, but this was like one too many, maybe. Like maybe if this was like better, I wouldn't feel that way. But like I don't know, this, I kind of wish I had like dropped it because like I wasn't really feeling it, and it doesn't really. Honestly, it just gets worse. It really loses the plot, like toward the end of it. It kind of is doing this thing with like, oh, they're just gonna focus on the mysteries of the school, the 8 wonders of the school. Like it's a very common thing.
Yeah, that sounds nice.
With like slice of life stuff and stuff like that, where like, oh, I have the mysteries of the wonders of the school. Like there's a ghost in the bathroom and it's like shit like that, right?
Yeah.
They tie it into this thing called like elemental M or something, which is basically just the MacGuffin for magic or whatever.
Okay.
And like it's revealed so similar-ish to Little Witch Academia. It's revealed that this element M is like being hoarded by the fucking school or whatever, and it used to be everyone could use magic when they had like the old magic or whatever.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna get into spoilers. If you want to watch the show, go for it, I guess. But like, if you just want to hear me shit on it,
oh, here you go.
I need to vent on the show.
Go off, King.
Like, so they have this whole thing going on with the standard course and the elite course. And it turns out like the standard course students are brought to the school as a sacrifice for the elite course because they use their life energy to power this element M shit or whatever the fuck. And it does this, but it doesn't actually commit to killing them, right? They like, oh, they just get sick. And then like, I guess maybe.
So it doesn't get like super dark?
No, it doesn't really get dark. That's what I mean. Like they like try to have the stakes where it's like, oh, you're putting their lives in danger because you're using their life force or whatever. But like it doesn't kill them or anything. They start getting sick because like it went a little out of control. But they're like, oh, well, we just do this all the time. It never has a problem. But it really doesn't make sense because like the guy's like, oh, we're doing this for equality. Like it gets very edgy. But it's not like edgy in a dark way. It's not like they're killing characters off or anything. It's just like stupid edgy. Like the bad guy or whatever was like, oh, we're doing this for equality so we can have because like you remember like the notebooks they introduce?
Vaguely.
The magician girl gives her a notebook at the beginning. It turns out those are like the Palm Pilots they use, and kind of similar-ish to Magilumiere. They use those as like a hotkey for spells, and it lets them use like magic very easily. Because like the magic's coming from the Palm Pilot deal, the book or whatever, as opposed to them, or from nature or whatever. Like the old magic let them. So it turns out like these things like it's getting out of control because they keep using it for convenience. And I guess there's maybe some commentary about technology and convenience. Or I'm not gonna think that much about it, honestly. Yeah. But they're like, oh, we're running out of magic because we're using these for convenience. There's too many spells. People have too many of these. Whatever the fuck. And so it's running amok. And they're like, well, we need to return to the old ways. We don't need to hoard the magic. And he's like, oh no, I'm doing this for equality. And it's like, how? Like only people that have these notebooks can use it, and then you're only giving it to the elite people. And at some point, like they're having this conflict of ideals, and like they're trying to rationalize it, and he literally just like, oh, of course it has to be like the magic has to be put in the hands of some of the elite. And you're like, well, how's this equality? What? Like you're not even. What? This isn't even coherent. Like, why even like have this as a plot point where they're like, oh, we didn't have equality. It's just.
Is that like an intentional double speak kind of thing?
It probably is, but it doesn't like. If you're gonna do that, there's ways to do that where it's like, you know, you could point out like there's like a contradiction or like hypocrisy without it just being stupid.
Yeah, like a some of you may die, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make type of thing.
Something like that would be like the most basic way to do it, like well, I guess, or like competently. This is literally just incompetence, where it's just like I'm doing this for equality, but yeah, the elites will have it, but no one else. Is like what? It doesn't even make sense. Like, I don't know what you mean.
Yeah,
and then like there's like shit where it's like the main character is like, oh, I've been bathing in elemental M my whole life, and I just forgot. What? Like they basically groomed her to be like a super magician or something, and like her grandma like taught her all these like charms, quote unquote. They're like, oh, they're actually spells. And it's like that's a fine that's fine concept. But then like they reveal at the end like she's been taking her to like this spring. It's like, oh, this is elemental M. I'm gonna bathe you in this. And it's like, wait. You didn't remember this? This doesn't stand out to you as a child that my grandma kept taking me out in the woods to bathe in this random thing called Elemental M, and then I'm going to a school where they're calling something Elemental M that never triggered something. You're like, oh wait,
wait a minute,
I bathed in this my whole life. I'm just like, oh, it's such a mess. I wish I had not finished it. I basically just finished this because it was a Magical Girl show. And like, honestly, already, like halfway through. It sounds
like a lot of this stuff comes up like in like the latter half. So by then you were already like held hostage.
Yeah. I mean, even halfway through, like I was like kind of bored with it because like it's doing the mysteries thing. And it's just kind of like, whatever. It's just like, I don't care about this. Honestly, it's fine. Yeah. But then it gets to like the reveals, and you're just like, what the fuck are you doing? Just please just stop. Yeah, I would not recommend this. This is the one show probably we're talking about that I would not recommend.
Well, let's I guess get somewhat more positive then. Mumi, what did you think of Kimi wa Mero-sama?
This is an unfortunate thing to follow up. It's fine.
It's fine. It feels like a show that would have come out in like 20 years ago or something.
20 years ago, yeah.
So for context, what it's about is, have you seen Roberta's Blood Trail? Do you know who Roberta is from a Black Lagoon? You basically take that character and she moves in with this kid, and hijinks ensue. That's the plot of the show.
Say kid. They're like this. They're close enough in age.
Yeah,
it's not quite like Roberta's, where it's like an adult taking care of like a small child.
He's like a teenager. Character. Like they're both like teenagers or something. But they're like 2
or 3 years apart.
She is like the archetypal battle maid character, basically.
Right.
Speaking of archetypal, it has the most emoto anime character I think I have ever fucking seen.
Is that a fucking flashbang?
Yeah. Like as soon as I see her character design, I'm just like, little sister. I immediately know. Yeah.
She's characterized as like she is the most little sister of all little sisters I've ever little sister.
But it's a fine show. I'm only like halfway through it. I don't really have a huge drive to continue it. I'll try and finish it. Directed by Ayumu Watanabe. What the fuck? What? Oh yeah. It is directed by the guy who did Children of the Sea. Not a super visually stunning show. The opening is gorgeous, though.
The opening and the ending is pretty good too.
Oh yeah.
It's not as like impressive as the opening. The opening is like, I think the opening is done by one of the guys who did one of the Chainsaw Man EDs.
Yes.
So it's fucking like chef's kiss. But
Yeah.
that's about. I don't know. I feel like it's like the best part of the show. You're just watching the show for the opening.
And then the rest of the show, it's like fine, you know. They do like the things where it's like different assassins like come and stuff, and like they have to like dispatch them or all these things. But that's nice. If it sounds like something your speed, I wouldn't not recommend it. But
you finished this one, right?
No, I only was like halfway through. Did anything happen in the second half?
I finished it.
Oh, does it get really stunning in the second half?
No, it's not like the last show. I will say this one was like, what was the show? It kind of, it's almost like 365 days where like it will focus on some characters. I'm just like, why?
Yeah.
Like the Hikage arc with her, like her brother or whatever. I'm just kind of like, okay, sure.
Sure.
Fine. Whatever. Right. This whole show, I'm just like, okay, sure. Fine.
Yeah. What a glowing recommendation.
I mean, it's a pretty standard it's what magical it says girlfriend show.
Yeah, you pay for what you get.
Like you're not going to be surprised by it. It doesn't execute anything at like a really high level. There's some like cute moments.
Sure.
Like there's like an episode where they go on a date or whatever, and he's like, "Oh, I love the snow," and she's like, "It makes me happy to hear that you love me," or whatever. And like it's like a very well drawn shot. They have like a Fist of the North Star reference at one point where she the little sister character does the Rao pose. It's like I have no regrets for the life I've led. So it's got some enjoyable stuff in it. Basically, if you like magical girlfriend shows where it's like extraordinary woman character kind of learning to be mundane, or like she gets something out of being around some character who's a mundane guy because like he brings normalcy to her life. Like if you like that kind of stuff, it's not bad. Nothing about it is executed poorly. It's just I don't really care for that stuff in concept to begin with, so I'm just kind of like it's whatever. It doesn't elevate itself to a point where I'm like, oh, this is so fucking good, bro. Like because I could like stuff, right? Like I could like a show like this,
right?
If it was like executed in like a really well, like high standard.
Sure, whatever, but this is kind of like what you would expect a show like this to be. And if you really like that kind of show, check it out. But it's also like, if that's not your kind of thing, it's kind of like, you could skip this one.
Yeah, you're not really missing anything if you don't like this stuff.
Speaking of a show that a lot of people skipped out on and missed, and they really fucking shouldn't have, let's talk about Puniru wa Kawaii Slime.
The best comedy this year, maybe?
For real? It's annoying how many people wrote this show off, honestly.
I mean, I can see why. I get, like, you look at it, the post, like, that's part of the problem, is that people will just look at posters, they're like, oh, this looks like shit. And then they won't watch it. Look at the posters, they see that it's like a Kodomo manga adaptation, and they're kind of like, it's for babies. And it's like, yes. And it's awesome. I don't even know if I would say it's for babies. Like,
that's the funny thing. It's like a children's manga adaptation, but it airs in the middle of the night. And like, I don't know, the humor can be pretty raunchy. This might be the best comedy this year. I'm trying to think of a better comedy. There were a lot of good bits, honestly.
Honestly, this is like, people were hyping the shit out of Nokotan.
Oh my god, no!
I mean, that show is like fucking like, okay. Did we talked about Nokotan?
Yeah, I know we talked about Nokotan.
The fucking how repetitive, like it's basically like a crack horror. It's like, like, you know, they're fucking baking cookies or some shit, and Nokotan will walk in like a JoJo character and be like, fuck me in my dear pussy, bitch. And it's just like, what?
What?
Like that. And then every joke. Every joke in Nokotan.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Seinfeld, like, that's every joke in Okatan. Fuck me and my dear pussy. That's what it was like, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what how
whereas,
I remember it.
I don't know, the humor, so the concept for Puniru is basically it's Uruslime Yatsura, basically.
Yeah.
This kid has this cute slime girl that he accidentally made, and she really likes him, and she wants everyone to think that she's really cute, and he's just kind of annoyed by her because he's like growing up, he's like becoming like, he's in like his adolescent period, and he wants to abandon his like silly childhood things. There's also a woman who molests children in the show.
Well, okay. You said, okay. Step back.
Yeah.
She's not molesting. Okay, it's like she has the maternal drive. It's like the Thanatos, like the death drive or something, but it's maternal, and she wants to have a kid.
And that leads to her.
I mean, she's like 14, so it's weird. Or 13, like it's still weird, but it's not like 16, she's molested. Yeah. It's not like a sexual thing, all right?
Right, but it is. I mean, it does come across that way in how it's presented. It's like Araragi and Nails Hachikuji. Yeah, I blanked on her name for a second. It's like that. It's like that's just no. It's just what they do.
Just what they do. That's their thing. I think that's you reading into it, but
yeah.
I didn't get the sexual thing out of it.
But it is there's some sex humor though, like you get like, oh, I'll give myself big boobs and then cut them off and stuff, and it's like, oh, okay. Or,
yeah, that's what I was saying. I don't know if this is like for babies, right?
Yeah,
like in the first episode, she like turns into like an idol character or whatever, and they're like, oh, can you make your can we like feel your boobs? Because like we want to feel like a woman's titties. She's like, oh yeah, sure. But she's a slime, right?
Yeah.
To establish this, she doesn't have a concept of gender. And this is important to the show. We can get into it a bit in a second. But she has no concept of gender. But she doesn't see herself as a girl. I mean, she likes to be a girl because that's cute. It's cute, right?
Right.
But like she doesn't like identify as a female or a male. Like she's just slime. And so like they're like, oh, can we feel your titties? She's like, oh yeah, sure. And she just cuts her tits off so they can play with the slime of her tits. And they're just like, oh,
here you go.
But yeah, you talked about like he wants to get rid of like childish things. It's less childish. It's more exploring these like ideas of like gender performativity or whatever. Because that's the whole conflict of the show is Puniru is cute, and so he's what's the main character's fucking name? Kotaro, the stupid piece of shit.
Kotaro Kawaii. His last name is Kawaii.
He was shamed as a child because he liked essentially this universe's Hello Kitty.
Yeah.
He liked a doll of this character or whatever and tried to take it for Christmas or whatever, and he got shamed for it because like, oh, you can't like girl things. That's a girl toy. You can't take that. Which is a very like child thing to do. Like,
right.
You have this like weird established like form of like gender, and it's like, oh, boys can only take the boy toys and girls can only take the girl toys, and then like a boy takes girl toy, girls are like, I wanted that toy, you can't take girls toys, and it's not like it's like a weird thing, right? They don't go like, they're not doing anything like these characters are just like bigots or something. It's just like stupid kids, and they kind of like cause this trauma or whatever. And so he gets this slime that is also cute because he likes cute things, and he kind of does this mental gymnastics and convinces himself that this like Puniru is not cute because he wants to stay with them.
Yeah.
And like hang around and be with, but he can't justify it to himself because they're cute, but he can't like cute things because he's a boy, and so
Right.
he convinces us of Puniru is not cute, and that's the whole like conflict of the show. Is she's like, I want to be cute, and he's like, no, you're not cute, because if he views her as cute or as a girl or anything like that, if he falls into that trapping, he is like shamed. He has shamed himself to not be able to like be with her or whatever.
Right.
And that's where all the humor comes from.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's where the show really like excels at, is that sort of like dynamic between. It does kind of fall off when they introduce the one girl.
The Hello Kitty Empire bitch.
Yeah, it does kind of get a little bit muddled after that, but not too bad. And it's only a couple episodes, and then after that, it definitely picks back up. Episode 7 in particular was kind of fucking insane to watch. I was like, holy.
Episode 7 was fucking like one of the best episodes this year, unironically.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like just out of it was directed by China.
The whole country?
Yeah, as it turns out. I don't know. The guy's name or whatever is just China. It's like, but he's done like a lot of interesting work in the past.
Probably like WebGen, Sakuga, or whatever. They have like
no,
names.
he's like, I mean, he's I'll send you his like AniList, but yeah, he's done like a lot of like really cool stuff. But yeah, overall, highly recommend the show. This is a great example of why you should never judge a book by its cover. Fucking Arcada, you fucking swine.
You think they're gonna address the allegations in season 2?
Maybe. It is cool you got a season 2. I'll definitely be watching that.
I want to know the origins of like, because like her whole thing is like she like puts things. She's like she can mix. It almost sounds like a magical girl sequence.
Yeah, she's kind of a magical girl. Well, her like transformation sequence is absurd too. It's so drawn out. It's like a gachapon machine. So like she'll like put like the thing in like the gachapon and then pop back out, and then her transformation sequence starts.
Yeah, so it mixes random shit, and she's like, "Oh, I'm cold Puniru."
Yeah, or
summertime Puniru.
metal shavings into this in there, and she becomes like a dominatrix. Yeah,
it's such a good show.
It's
fucking
really
humor
good.
is so fucking good.
It looks really good. It's hilarious.
Did you hear the theory that's like, oh, how did Puniru become alive? Maybe he mixed the slime with his dad's semen or something.
Jesus Christ! I mean, that's a
how
valid theory.
Puniru became a slime. They got to address the spirit cooking allegations in season 2.
Yeah, no, seriously. I think if there's any show, honestly, that we would like really, really strongly recommend, it's gonna be this one, honestly. Like, if there's stuff that we enjoyed more, but it's like in terms of like, I feel like our feelings on the show versus seemingly everyone else's, it's like there's a pretty big disparity there.
Yeah, this is an example. Like you said that with Mecha-ude. I feel like I would have tried Mecha-ude because it was kind of had some buzz around it. It was an anime original that
this actively had negative buzz. People being like, I watched the first episode. Yeah, it's about what you could expect for a kid's comedy, but I'm an adult. If anything, it's almost like a meta thing where it's like people don't want to watch this because it's a kid's anime. It's like, that's not what you're supposed to do as an adult.
You're not supposed to watch this. Yeah, this is probably the example I would point to is like, this is why you should try stuff, because people are like just shitting on this. And you're like, what? This is actually like,
this is really good.
This is really good. What the fuck?
This show is awesome. It's hilarious. Puniru is very cute. A lot of really great character design, especially for Puniru herself.
Oh yeah. And then comedy is high. Comedy is actually pretty high level, honestly.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's like, it's not just wacky. I mean, there's a lot of wacky stuff, but then there's also just some like really clever jokes that you're just kind of like, oh, what the fuck?
Yeah, it has a good blend where it's like you can laugh at the silly JoJo reference.
Yeah.
Or you can laugh at the absurdity of like this like character gaslighting himself into believing that these things are not cute because he has to conform to a certain societal stand. Like there's layers to it that you can appreciate.
Yeah.
Would highly recommend.
Go. I'm not asking anymore. Go fucking watch it.
I'm telling you.
Speaking of things people watch that I did not, Ranma 1/2.
Oh, you didn't watch Ranma?
No, that was like an Lexus server. I just never really got around to it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Pretty good.
I mean, for people that need
it's Ranma.
It's fucking Ranma.
Do we need to explain what Ranma is?
Character gets into a harem series with the ability to turn into a girl himself.
Thank you, Rumiko Takahashi.
Thanks.
Are they just gonna remake all of her stuff? Like, are we gonna get like
probably.
a My Sonny Koku like remake?
It seems, I don't know. That's a good question, honestly.
That'd be
right now they're just focusing on like the comedies.
Yeah. It would be interesting to see My Sonny Koku come back. I feel like that one of like Urusei Yatsura and like, you know, Ranma, like that's like one of like the less popular ones in terms of like the Western fandom side of things.
But it is the higher acclaimed as far as like anime fans.
Yes, that's kind of the thing.
I mean, there are people that will hold up Urusei Yatsura above.
Well, sure, yeah, but
Koku. That's generally because Oshi more so than Takahashi.
Right. But I don't know. Yeah, I'll be curious. I guess it's a good adaptation, though, right?
The Ranma, it's okay. So it's not as good as the same material it covered in the original adaptation.
Okay.
It's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
But the original I feel like the original adaptation, I think it's the first 20 episodes that this covers. Which you can probably kind of see, like this is 12 episodes covering like 20-ish episodes.
Yeah.
It's really, I got a different sense of the characters even from the original. I mean, I kind of talked about this when we were watching it. There's like points that felt like Ranma, and this Ranma feels a bit more like Flanderized to me. Because in the original, like, so like one scene in particular that stood out, in the original, like it's in episode 2 when he fights like the guys at her school, and then he fights what's his name, the love rival character, that does like Bushido or whatever the fuck.
I have no idea. I've not seen.
He's not on the main page, so I gotta fucking click.
I gotta scroll all the way down.
Tatewaki? Kuno-kun, I think is. Anyway. So he fights him and like beats him, but he ends up taking like a hit that he wasn't expecting or something. And they kind of establish him as being a bit more humble in the original, because like Akane is like, oh, you got, I think you basically saying like, oh, you need to be careful because like he's better than you're giving him credit for. And he's like, oh yeah, maybe you're right. You know, maybe I'm like, it seems like they kind of give him a bit more nuance in that scene.
Yeah.
Where in the new one, it doesn't have that. He's just kind of like, oh no, he wouldn't hit me. And it's very minor, but like these kind of sort of little minor things kind of give me a different sense of the characters in the original to this. Granted, this is like, I'm hopeful that, because like this adaptation, the execution of it is better than like the stuff I've seen after the first 20 episodes. Which, for context, anybody listening that haven't seen it, the original 20 episodes of Ranma, or I think it's 18 episodes, were directed by Tomomi Mochizuki, who, if you don't recognize that name, he's directed like Ocean Waves, House of Five Leaves.
Isn't that Ghibli movie that's bad?
The bad Ghibli movie.
The bad Ghibli movie.
The good YKK adaptation. He's done some good stuff.
Mysterious Disappearances.
Oh yeah, he did do that. here
Hoopa?
recently. But he did the first 18 episodes. Then it got canceled. He got taken off, and then he didn't come back when it got. They're like, oh, actually, we're gonna actually go through with it.
Mhm.
And so for me, I feel that there's a very distinct difference in the direction and quality
Mhm.
of the adaptation from that to after that.
Yeah.
This has been better adapted than the latter stuff, like after episodes 20.
Okay.
So it's not as good as the first 20 episodes, but it's better than after that for me.
Okay.
So I'm
and
hopeful
how many
that like
episodes is Ranma? Like,
I mean, the original adaptation, it's not even a full adaptation, mind you. It's like 163, I think.
yeah, something like that.
161.
Yeah.
So it's not a full adaptation. They might I don't think, did they abridge the Urusei Yatsura adaptation? Because it's only 50 episodes.
I don't know. We didn't really watch that one.
Yeah,
we started
watched,
watching
like,
it,
the
and then we fell off. And
fell
again,
off.
not because it was bad. We are bad.
We're bad. There's a lot. We're watching a lot of stuff. Okay,
Listen,
we've
our
been talking
lives
for 2 hours
Our lives
about
are
shit that we've been.
our lives are hard. Okay, watching anime is hard. All right.
This is a full-time job. All right, we can't. But yeah, it's better directed than that. So I'm hopeful that like as it does the full they do end up doing the full adaptation, it'll be consistent and good, and maybe they cut out some of the stuff that people didn't like about the original.
Mhm.
I'm hopeful. I'm
Yeah.
thinking it'll be a good adaptation. I do like it. I do like the visual style.
Well,
it is not. I do prefer the original, but this is
right.
by no means bad.
Well, there you have it,
many
ladies
times
and
people-
gentlemen. Ranma
many
one half
times
is
people
bad.
complain.
Don't watch it.
No, no.
Let's instead talk about something you should watch, which is Suma Show, my favorite show of the season. Which I know it sounds bad to say that one of your favorite shows of the season, even of the year, is a show called My Wife Became an Elementary School Student, but it's really good. Trust me. Okay, listen, it's not what it seems.
Mhm.
This show is fucking cry porn. All right, it is so damn sad. I really love it.
So you're saying the show that's My Wife Became a Grade Schooler is porn?
Yes, it made me come. It made me come and cry all at the same time.
Out my nose and my eyes.
But no, this show is honestly really. So going into it, I already had heard people talking about it being like, it's not like, what the title makes it seem like it's gonna be. It's a very it's very good story. And yeah, it is. It really is. It does a really great job at exploring its concept of yeah, what would happen if if your wife and mother to your child died, but then came back however many years later as an elementary school student. It explores all the different sorts of implications of that. What about the parents of the child that she was reincarnated into? Why did she even reincarnate in the first place? It's really strong, and I love the characters dearly. And by the end, I was crying like a prison made bitch. Yeah, honestly, it's a pretty good looking show overall. It's not like the best looking show of the year. It is directed by Noriyuki Abe, who has not really directed much of note in the past. I'd say he directed Ghost Stories, but I don't think I don't think he really directed anything remarkable other than that, my knowledge. Oh, Tokyo Mew Mew, yeah.
Oh, Tokyo Mew Mew. There you
Yeah. I don't know what that something called Bleach.
Directed Oku.
What is Gato?
Gato?
Yeah, GTO. How do you say that?
Oh, wait. He directed GTO?
Yeah, is it just is it GTO or Gato?
I think it's French.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's Gato.
Yeah, I honestly would. If you want a show that's gonna just hit you
Yu
right,
Hakusho.
I don't know how long we wanted to do that bit, but yeah, if you want a show that's just gonna like really like just pull at your heartstrings, I would honestly highly recommend it. Like I said, I think all the characters are really well developed. I like that the arc. It's also just a self-contained show, so you're done with it after it ends. I don't know
What is it about?
I
don't know
told
what
you
it's about.
I explained it. It's literally in the title. A guy's wife dies and then comes back like 10 years later
Well,
as
that's
a little
not
girl.
in the title.
Yeah, if my wife becomes an elementary school student.
Well, how?
Through reincarnation.
Why?
Why? Well, that's a spoiler. Why? I don't. It's like kind of the thing. I don't want to like give too much away, but
Oh, okay.
What did you think of it, Moomy?
So you said like there are shows that got better. Interestingly, I don't think this one got better in the sense of like there was like some arc upward. It surprised me because it stayed consistently at the level it was. Because like there's some potential in the premise, right?
Yeah. Well, if anything, it feels like it got better because to a certain extent, we weren't expecting it to really actualize that premise,
right?
As well as it did.
That's what I was gonna get at. Like,
yeah,
you would expect like it's gonna introduce these like interesting concepts. It's gonna fall off at some point. It's not gonna quite reach its potential.
Yeah.
This one actually like explores the ideas that it brings up that you think it could explore.
Yeah.
And
it gets like kind of uncomfortable with it at times where you're kind of like, oh, this is like a really terrible situation, honestly.
Yeah.
I feel bad for everyone involved.
Yeah, things are not all what they seem.
Yeah.
Both in the show's premise or title and in the show itself.
Yeah.
But it the kind of a general appeal that we talked about in the video where it's like, you know, I don't think it quite okay, that is one thing. It doesn't really deliver as much on the mature child thing.
That is one thing
I will not elaborate
because it's just one thing I do wish it did a little bit more is if we did get to see like Marika at school.
Like flesh out Marika
kids.
More.
Yeah, Takai, like, you know, because how is she like interacting with like these like we get a little bit of it, but I would have liked to see more, and I feel like that may have I do feel like there are some things that are like cut out from the manga in order to make it fit into 12 episodes. Like the whole like their daughter ends up getting into a relationship with a guy, and then it feels like it progresses really quickly. That
was weird, like because it literally like happens in the next episode. They're like, "Oh, we're getting married." You're like,
"Oh, fuck, what?
Whoa, what? Like you know each other how long now?"
Yeah.
You start getting concerned. You're like, "Hold on, wait a minute."
A little bit more development would have been appreciated. But I don't know. That definitely does not like knock the show down for me, honestly.
Yeah, no, it's good. I guess we could. I'll hold where it's at, but like it's good. Of the shows that like you might could go back and be like, oh, I missed this one. People didn't really talk about this one. Would recommend checking this one out.
Yeah. Especially if you like stuff that really makes you feel bad, like Anohana or like Clannad After Story.
Okay, hold on. It's not on that level, okay?
I don't know, dude. This one like really fucked me up.
This is more like therapeutic, I feel like. Like I don't
a little bit. Sure.
This isn't just like a kick in the dick. Like because like a cry porn like Anohana or like Angel Beats is like it gives you hope for something, takes it away from you, it kicks you in the dick.
This is kind of like you kind of understand at the start like this is like something that has to like end.
Yeah, this is a temporary thing. You
kind of see it coming. And a lot of the show is kind of about this like idea of like, you know, getting Keisuke, who's like the father and husband, and their daughter Mai to like sort of be able to move on after the death of their wife and mother,
Mhm.
It's not like, oh, well, great. I mean, they do kind of act like, oh, this is just going to be a thing that is now always. But it is kind of clear, like, okay, no, this is a child that's like needs to have like their own life at some point.
This is the show I would say you have to like just shut the fuck up and just watch.
Yeah.
Because like there are moments that like you can like have criticism. Like, I don't know if I like where the show is going. I don't know if I like the message this is kind of going for. And I can say after finishing it, this executes itself about as well as you could possibly hope for it to execute.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have been better. Like, it could have like fucking Dandadan level production or something, sure. But like the actual execution of the story is like what you would hope to do.
Right.
Like, I remember, just as an example, like early on, I remember being like, I don't know if I like because like there's like a plot point in like episode 3 or 4, I think, where they're like, oh, I'm gonna sign this contract to say that I won't cheat on my wife who's already dead or whatever. Like, we're gonna, when you grow up, we can get married and be a family again or whatever the fuck. And I was like, oh, I don't know if I like this like idea of basically like having them circumvent having to deal with loss by like doing this.
Yeah.
They do not do that. And there are similar things like that. Like, we had some people in the group watch that were complaining about certain plot points later on. They're like, oh, they're gonna do this thing and it's gonna fucking suck. And it doesn't do what you think it might do.
Right.
So just if you have problems with where the show seems like it's going, just let it cook.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yep.
Just watch the show.
Yeah. And personally, it's on, I think if I were to check, I think it's like my second favorite show of the year, below Day to Day. So high praise for me, high marks from me. I really loved it. It's one of those things where it's like, I like, start watching, and like, oh, this will be like a kind of like a cutish kind of thing. I'll see where it goes, and by the end, it's like, oh man, no.
I know you got a lot more emotionally invested in it than I did.
Yeah.
I didn't like it though. I would recommend it.
Really good show. Don't let the title make you think it's a fucking show for perverts. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Speaking of a show for perverts.
I was gonna say, speaking of a show for perverts.
let's talk about Yakuza Wife, or whatever the hell this show is called. Yakuza Fiance.
Oh, you had to talk about that one. I didn't watch this one.
Oh, I only watched like 3 episodes. Fuck.
Oh. We didn't watch this one.
Damn.
I watched episode 1. I think I did watch episode 2 because you like made us, but I didn't watch anything after that.
Damn. I would still like to continue it because I really like the premise. And just the whole dynamic they have.
It's fine.
Yeah, for context, it's basically this poor woman. This poor woman is being like forced into this relationship with this Yakuza psychopath because all the men in her life are fucking like assholes and monsters. Basically just using her for like political gain. And it seems like at least the way it's going is like, I mean, she's kind of like a badass herself and is eventually just gonna break bad. She does like, the mask kind of slips at a few points, and it's really cool when it does to just see her like, stand up for herself, and like, especially towards the male lead, Kirishima, who is just a fucking goblin. Yeah, I will go back and finish this. Because it
is a pretty fun premise where it's like, this guy is basically just like a fucking, really is kind of a monster.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%.
You take it out of the context of the show. You just take him as like a person out of context. Like, yeah, you're a fucking piece of shit.
It's not even presented in like an I can fix him type of way. It's more like I need to fucking like put this guy in his place kind of way.
This dude needs to be put in prison.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
He is a Yakuza boss.
Yeah.
But it takes this like interesting premise of like this character being a fucking piece of shit, and then like it does the shoujo thing where like they get put into a situationship kind of thing where it's like, oh yeah, you might get married to him or something. And he like reveals his true colors at some point. He's like, you're fucking boring. You should just fucking go kill yourself. Get the fuck out of here or whatever. Fuck.
Yeah.
And like, instead of doing like what some shows, which we probably are going to talk about here in a minute, might do, where it's like the shoujo josei thing, where it's like, you almost do like the suffering thing. How to put it? Where it's like the strength is shown through suffering. Like, you turn the other cheek so much that you put them over to your side or whatever. Instead of doing that, she's just like, nah, fuck that. Like, you want to be a fucking dick? I'm gonna be a bigger dick. You're gonna fucking.
Yeah, I don't want to be such a big dick. It's gonna enter the room 5 minutes before I do.
So it's like, it's an interesting premise. I don't know if I really cared that much about how I was executing that premise. I'm just like, it's fine.
It's fine. I liked it. I'll probably continue it.
But you haven't yet.
I have not. Because life. But I would like to. Overall, I'd say a fun show. If it sounds like something you would like, check it out.
Check it out, baby.
Speaking of things that neither of us really continued, this time deliberately, you want to talk about Ghoul School?
Oh, the Ghoul School. Yeah.
It was fine.
This was one, like, I don't have anything really terrible to say about it.
No, it's just kind of like, we have to draw a line somewhere, and there are going to be things that we have to like cut off that it's kind of like, this isn't bad, but it's like, we just don't have the time. This is one of those shows.
I intended to watch it, but then I saw it was too core. Like, it was be 27 episodes.
Yeah.
I am not going to watch 20 episodes.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Like stuck to that. Yeah.
Yeah. I already had that happen with fucking 2.5D. Or
and like with the 3 episodes we watched, we're kind of like, yeah, I understand like what kind of show this is, and it's not really one that's like gonna knock my socks off, and to the point where
it had some good jokes. I really liked the bit where he like falls into the pool and it comes out and he's like a fucking like shoujo like by Shonen character.
Yeah.
Like, there's some good gags. It's just like kind of few and far between.
Right, yeah.
And like I think we watched episode 4 and I was like, I'm not watching more of this. I cannot watch 2 seasons of this. Like,
it's just too much. It's too much of an investment on our part. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have to draw the line somewhere.
But it was fine. I'm sure there are people watching it. I'm sure there are people listening to this that are watching it that are liking it. Maybe.
Good for you, if so.
I don't have anything bad to say about it. It's just
not enough for us.
Not enough.
Now let's talk about Do-Over Damsel.
Do-Over Damsel.
Do-Over Damsel. What's the show about?
Do-Over Damsel conquers the Dragon Emperor.
Yes. It's another one of those I can fix some anime, except it's about this princess, battle princess, basically, who basically gets sent back in time to her younger self when she's like 12 years old, and gets into a relationship with the Dragon Emperor, who she was fighting before she got sent back in time, and it's like her mortal enemy or whatever. He's a pedophile. There's no other way to say it.
I mean, the premise is basically like she became a princess.
Yeah.
And was like married to this dude. And then he basically betrays her. And like, as she's dying, she gets sent back in time. And then she's like, I'm just going to marry whoever, literally anybody else. And accidentally like betroths herself to the enemy emperor.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, fuck.
Oh, fuck. But turns out he's a really cool guy. I mean, it's weird that he is basically like, I can only be in a relationship with a girl who's younger than 14 for reasons that are technically out of his control, but
yeah, they do explain it in a suitable way, but it does have like it plays into it.
He's so candid about it. It's like, why you guys see a problem here?
There's like a joke, I think in episode 1 or 2, where he's like, or she's like, oh yeah, about my age. Because like, remember, she's been reincarnated. She's like a 17-year-old, I think, or 18-year-old in a 12-year-old.
Listen, she's very mature
body.
for her age.
She's very mature for her age. And she's like, listen, about my age, I know I'm a bit young or whatever. And he's just like, oh, it's perfect. And she just immediately like recoils, like, oh, wait, hold on. Well, fuck.
I really like the Dragon Emperor though. He's very funny because like he kind of just wants to stay at home and like cook and clean for his wife. But
He wants to be domestic.
yeah, no, literally, that's a part where like they're hiding in the woods, and he's like, I'm fine living out here in the woods, just like cooking and cleaning while she goes off and makes money. But then like if anything like bad happens to her, like or she's like threatened in any way, he just like snaps and just goes full psycho on.
Yeah, so it makes an interesting dynamic. Contrast, I should say.
Yes,
because you see what he was like in her timeline, her original timeline.
Yeah.
Where he was like this, like literally an evil dragon emperor guy, and he like comes out. He's got the fucking the evil tired lines. I've had enough of life or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Like eye bags. And he's like this evil, conquering emperor guy that they got into conflict with.
Yeah.
And then you see him like 7 years younger or whatever, and how much like he still has hope in all this. And so you kind of like start piecing. They haven't like revealed anything yet, but you kind of piece together like he was betrayed at some point, or he lost somebody he cared about. Because there's a lot of like political drama going on and behind it. It's not like it's not like Legend of Galactic Heroes or whatever. They're not like
but
putting
there
these
is like stuff that it's actually really funny because they'll have like these characters talking politics, and then the main character Jill will just kind of be there, just kind of witnessing the conversation. It's like she doesn't need to be here.
I mean, she just like goes out and punches shit anyway. She didn't give a fuck.
Nah, she doesn't care. She punches a giant dragon in the face. Who gives a fuck?
In episode 2, she throws an entire ship across the ocean. Like this is very wish fulfillment-y in like a very fun
it's
way.
Awesome. Yeah.
Because it's like, I guess because it's like it's not a guy, it's a girl. So like it doing these things that are very masculine wish fulfillment typically is kind of fun.
Yeah.
Like if this were like
if you swap the genders, it would be a little bit like lol.
Yeah, it's like, okay, he could throw a boat. Who fucking cares?
Yeah,
like, it being kind of more novel, I guess, is like, this is kind of fun.
Yeah. No, Jill has that spunk in her, as the British say.
She got that dog in her.
Speaking of dogs, though, like I like the dragon god in the show, who's just silly dragon guy. It's like, aren't you supposed to be like Rave. It's like, aren't you supposed to be like super powerful or something? Why are you just like a little feller?
Well, I mean, the whole thing is like he's limited now.
Yeah.
He like shows himself in a limited capacity, so he can like be present or whatever.
Yeah, which is fun. I like characters like that are technically all powerful, but are just kind of like around.
Yeah, they have a fun dynamic.
Yeah, it's a fun show. It's like a good adventure show, I'd say, honestly.
It does get. I'll say the second half is a bit.
Where like they introduce like Hades, the Dragon Emperor's like brother and sister and stuff.
Yeah. I don't hate what it does, but it's just like it's not. I think the first 6 episodes are actually like one novel.
Yeah, and then this is a manga adaptation, so they'd be like, oh no, it's a light novel. I thought it was a manga. Oh no, it has a manga adaptation. I remember now. So it starts off as a light novel, becomes a manga. And I was curious because the show has a very distinct art style, especially early on. They do these very strange character introductions where they have like something out of like JoJo or Persona, where like their name comes on screen and stuff. It was very jarring to watch at first.
Very pop, like I think I call it pop art or whatever. It's very comic booky.
Yeah, and
it's an interesting blend of styles. The
characters have very strong, defined outlines, and I was very curious about this because I was looking at the manga, and the manga looks nothing like that. So it's like a unique art style to the anime, which is interesting.
Did you finished it right? Like you did.
I have one more episode.
Oh, okay.
Why does it get bad in the final episode?
No. It does. I guess I do want to talk a little bit about some spoilers. I mean, it's not like it's not like oh my god.
Sure. Yeah. Who cares?
But like just as a heads up, I guess. It does bring up some interesting ideas with the last episode.
Mm-hmm.
where she like she talks to the goddess or whatever of the other country.
Yeah.
And she reveals like that she knows that she's from another timeline or whatever. She's like, oh, you abandoned your husband or whatever. And points out like it kind of toys with the, I don't know where they're going to go with it, but it toys with the idea that maybe he was actually being manipulated at other timeline, and like Jill just never did anything about it or never noticed, and like basically just abandons him. And you're like, oh, that's kind of an interesting.
So like the guy with the glasses may not actually be an asshole.
Yeah, like it was like she's like, oh, where were you when he needed you? And she's like, what? And it's like, huh,
that could be interesting.
That's kind of interesting.
Although that goddess character can also just not be trusted.
Yeah,
they're like the main antagonist of the show, seemingly.
Well, because like, well, I guess I can't talk. I don't want to spoil that because like it is a reveal. Sure. But like, we'll I guess we'll talk about when you watch it, maybe.
Yeah.
But like, the way it's revealed, it makes it seem pretty credible. That it's like, oh yeah, maybe he actually was being manipulated. Maybe this is like, maybe it'll be in a way where it's because like even in the OP, like it kind of shows her husband, like her past husband, kind of being like likable or sympathetic or whatever. Like
he does because like he's not like dance.
Yeah, well, he's not put into like he's put into like a weird position where he's like following or whatever. But like it's kind of fun, and you're like, yeah, why is this asshole character kind of like dancing? But like then with that, you're like, oh, maybe like all of them are kind of being manipulated, and like I'm not saying that like, oh, she should be with him,
right?
But maybe it'll like at least kind of take it in a direction where it's like she can heal from that perceived betrayal or the betrayal, whatever. And
there's
like,
something else going on with the show.
Does
it have a season 2 announced?
I don't think so.
Damn.
A lot of these other like Puniru and Magilumiere did announce season 2s at the end, but
I don't know. If there is a season 2, I'll probably watch it still because I did quite like the show, and I mean, I am interested in seeing where it goes.
It's interesting. It does some cool things. I'm like, I'm really not super interested.
Yeah, I think I overall liked it a little bit more than you, but I don't know. It's still positive recommendation from me at the very least.
Yeah,
if you want a fun like girl boss character and you kind of like Naruke, so things like Bookworm or whatever, I'd recommend this.
Yeah, I would not recommend against watching it, but
yeah,
it's gonna be it's for a very specific kind of person. So it's like if it seems like you'll like it, you probably will, because it's that kind of show. It's like this is for this group, and that's not like this is for women thing. No,
yeah.
I'm not saying like this is a shoujo, so it's for women. No, this is for a very specific niche of like, I have fun with this kind of show.
Yeah.
And if you are in that group, you will like it. If you're not, it's not terrible, but it's just kind of like whatever. It's fine.
Speaking of specific groups, why are you like
Hoshifudu or what's this? Starry
Bride? The Starry Bride. We're just doing the same transitions. We're saying them at the same time. Which is
we're on that level now
of a josei manga, which is interesting. There are a lot of those. It's I only watched 3 episodes. Mumi, explain.
So basically this is like this peasant girl who's like living as an orphan.
Yeah.
Gets sold to the royal family. She's replacing the daughter who was killed in some political spat.
Yeah.
And used as they
need a look-alike.
Strategic like chess piece in this like geopolitical thing.
Yeah.
So Nina is the encapsulation of the suffering protagonist. You take like a Toru from Fruits Basket or something.
Yeah.
Where, you know, they suffer and bad things happen to them. They're in shitty situations, but they push on through and they're like, I'm not going to let it get me down. And they bring everyone to Nina is the encapsulation of this sort of character.
Mm-hmm.
This was a bit harder. Like, I was interested in it because it's a josei.
Sure.
And but this one, like it doesn't quite have what a lot of josei will have, like as far as like some underlying something going on underneath the hood.
Like
this
a
is very
Shihaya Furu or whatever.
yeah, so like this is very in line with like a shoujo, honestly. Like, you know, if you think of like a shoujo romance kind of doing what is some good like example, like a Kasuga no Yona, is that shoujo?
I think so, yeah. I don't think it was
Or the josei? I don't remember off the top of my head.
I am pretty sure.
Where the fuck does it say? Oh, this is a shoujo. Yeah, so Kasuga no Yona is a shoujo.
Yeah.
It's in line with like that and like Shirayuki Hime, Snow White with the red hair or whatever. I enjoy it. Like it's not that it's not like a bad show or anything. But it doesn't. I was kind of hoping it would have a little bit more going on for me to latch into. It didn't quite. I mean, it has some politics stuff going on, but it's kind of just more used to kind of further this, like, you know, putting Nina in a bad position, showing how much of a girl boss she is, and then kind of doing this like power fantasy thing. If like power fantasy for guys is like, I get put in this world, I'm super powerful, I can do anything. I feel like power fantasy for girls is a lot of the time is like, I can take all this suffering, I can fix them. I can do, you know, she's like has two kings of like two prospective kings of these two different nations pining for her affection, and she's just like a little orphan servant girl or whatever. This is like, yeah, it's very transparent in that way, but it's not like a bad thing, right?
Right.
Yeah, there are gonna be people that don't want to like, who don't care for that kind of story, but it's not like it's done poorly or anything.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like fun how like transparent it is.
So would you say you are a supporter of women's suffrage?
I mean, if that's what they want, they want to suffer, like, you know, like, I'm not against, you know,
I'm not against women suffering. Would you recommend it?
Comparing this to like something like a Sign of Affection, like a Sign of Affection is very layered in how it presents. Like, it kind of falls off toward the end. Like it started off much stronger than it was, and at least the anime. I'm not talking about manga. I don't read manga.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
You know, Sign of Affection is very much like its romance is tied into its sort of like conceit, right? They use like her being deaf in this sort of like romance and intimacy moments where they're focusing much more on the tangential and like tactile kind of things, like the feel, the temperature of their hands and the texture, and it makes sense that she is focusing so much on the lips and stuff because she reads people's lips.
Yep.
There's all this stuff going on. Whereas something like this, Nina doesn't really do it. That's kind of what I was talking about with like the layered thing. It doesn't have like that sort of thing going on.
Okay, yeah.
To like really kind of like, I guess it sort of anchors its romance and like this sort of pathos in a way that lets me like intellectually connect to it. Like it lets you engage with it on a different level, like not just the story of like these two characters kind of coming together, being love or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But like you can really piece together and like feel on like a multiple levels, like this sort of like bond forming and connection. I would, if you like these sort of stories, I would recommend it, because like it is fun when you get into the love triangle, because like it doesn't feel like there's going to be a love triangle, but then like it does happen and you're like, oh fuck, what's gonna happen now? Like how is this even a love triangle? What the fuck? And like it does get fun and invested where you're like, I was rooting for her to get with this guy, and now like this other guy's back. Like, what the fuck? Like what's going on?
Yeah.
It is very fun in how it's constructed in that way, because it is where it falls flat in being like dense, I guess, or like layered. It does kind of succeed in like it's I don't want to say like vapid, but like surface level kind of like roller coaster where like it throws stuff at you that you weren't expecting. You're like, oh shit, what? Okay. And it does do a lot to get you invested in these characters, and you're like, oh, you know, I'm hoping they. It's kind of like the 365 days thing, where it's like, I want them to get together. I want them to be happy.
Yeah.
You've done enough to get me vested in their dynamic and relationship, and then something happens. You're like, oh shit, what the fuck you gonna do now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing it. It ends off on a cliffhanger, and it's like, oh, bad things are continuing to happen, and it seems like things are going to shit, but like maybe things aren't going to shit, but who knows? You'll have to see the second season. You're like, oh,
oh, is there a season 2?
Okay. No, there haven't been one announced.
Damn.
But it ends as if there's going to be, so that's why I'm like, I want to know. I will watch a second season of this one.
Okay.
Because I do want to know what happens, but like, it is it could have been better. I was hoping it would, because I think this is a pretty well regarded manga.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like was it the Otori what's that one bride manga?
I'm not a manga guy. Well, what do you think this is? Some sort of manga podcast?
Thinking this a manga podcast?
What do you
I
think?
can't think of the fucking name.
What are we? Some kind of Suicide Squad?
Like Tribal Bride or something.
Tribal Bride? Tribal Bride?
She's like it didn't have that kind of acclaim. Like there's some shoujo and josei that have like are very high acclaim. This is well regarded, but it's not like I don't know if it's necessarily on that level.
Okay.
So I was kind of like, oh, this will be interesting, but it didn't quite meet where I was kind of hoping it would be, but it's not bad. I mean, obviously your mileage is going to vary on how much you're invested in these kind of stories, but
yeah.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Let's talk about another thing that I actually watched, at least half of. God damn it. Which is a show that honestly surprised us. Maou 2099. What the fuck is this show?
So ended up being really good, honestly. For what it was.
So we watched the first episode and we're like, I guess we can watch like episode 2 just to see. And I'm very glad that we did, because man, this show just keeps ramping up and getting better and better. Even at episode like 6 where I like left off, it was like, holy shit. It's so fun.
Yeah. The first episode is really bad. Like, it's not so bad that I just would drop it. Like the execution was like,
but it is not promising.
No.
It did not
set up its premise very well.
No. Which the premise is basically the demon lord comes back and the fantasy world has like fused with this like cyberpunk world essentially. So it's fantasy cyberpunk. In which the demon lord, having come back, is now like completely powerless. Mumi, how does he get his power back?
So his power is based on like belief in him, or like people worshiping him, whatever.
Yeah, like a Noragami type thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and back in the day when he was a demon lord, obviously you would get disciples and have a country or whatever, and people would follow you, and you'd build this country and people worshipped you as the leader or whatever.
Yep.
But you can't really do that in this cyberpunk world. That's not really how the system works anymore. So
what do you got to do?
How that translates is he turns into a streamer.
He becomes a
basically
streamer.
turns into Kai Cenat.
That's how he, as a result, like, this is literally like what viral hit should have been, where he punches someone, he's like, and that's the power of 1 million subscribers. It's like, this is fucking awesome. Like, I think part of the problem with that first episode is he doesn't really have much of like a personality at all, but it ends up coming through a lot more episode 2 forward, where it's like,
It's because he's a fish out of water character.
Yeah.
And like in the first episode, it's basically just his base personality that they will use to good effect to like contrast all these things.
Right.
But initially it's just like they don't have that element there.
It's a very it's not fish out of watery enough. Whereas like episode 2 forward, like, he's needing to get like documentation papers or something, and he can't understand like whatever the hell is going on with the guy at the counter. I forget what the exact interaction was, but it's like, no, this is exactly what I need. They're like,
what was your previous occupation? He's like, I was the demon lord. And it's like, look up like for their glasses. They just like, really?
And then he has to some things happen, and he has to team up with the hero from his old from the old world that defeated him in order to take down this giant cyberpunk mega corporation, basically, that I guess just is like completely in control of Shinjuku, which is where it takes place. How does it go after that, by the way? Does it still hold up?
They go to Akiba.
Oh, they just go like a different part of town.
Well, they transfer to a high school in Akiba.
No, they do what? How does he even go to high school?
Well, he looks kind of young.
I know he does. He looks like a grown-ass man.
They just transfer to Akiba. They become friends with another character for plot reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Who she works at a maid cafe and is like a twin-tailed tsundere.
Oh my god. Oh.
It is so stupid in all the right ways. It's the premise of this is like deceptively pretty fun, where it's like because it's like this melding of this fantasy elements of like demon lords and heroes and stuff with cyberpunk stuff. It is able to kind of do this meta humor with it, because it takes like the kind of jaded cynicism of like cyberpunk and is like contrasting it with these sort of like fantasy elements.
Yeah.
Where like it makes sense. They are able to do these sort of like wink nudge jokes in a way that makes sense in the world. Like at one point, he's fighting some character and he's like, oh, of course they have a second stage. A boss always has a second stage.
Well, he would know that now because he's like a gamer.
Yeah, like he plays game. Like it would, if he were saying that in like this cynical way in like a general fantasy story, it wouldn't work. You're like, oh, okay.
Right. Yeah. But it makes sense because he's getting his power now from being Kai Cenat of this universe.
Playing Dark Souls.
We see him just playing Dark Souls.
Yeah, it lets the meta humor come through like in a diegetic way.
Yeah.
I was hoping for more action stuff. It does have more comedy stuff. It does have a bit like too much action for me. But it's interesting how they, at least with the powers, it is interesting how they kind of go about the power scaling stuff. Because it's like the first person he fights was like a servant of his, right?
Yeah.
And then the second one he fight, like the second arc or whatever, is kind of like a nerfed goddess kind of thing. And so like it's showing this kind of power progression in a way that lets you kind of like show, it kind of shows how strong he was in a way that's not just like just being upfront about it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, this is the progression he has to go through kind of thing, which is interesting.
But yeah, check out Demon Lord 2099, Maou 2099. It was the surprise of the season in that we went into it We watched and we're like, I guess sure we'll stick around.
It's so dystopic. They have VTubers in Times Square TV,
yes,
like playing at all times.
And we ended up being wonderfully rewarded for sticking with it. So yeah, definitely give this one check it out if we made it seem at all appealing to you. It's a very fun show. Speaking of not so fun, do we want to talk about the second half of 2.5D? Is there anything to talk about?
I fucking hated this.
I thought it was okay. I didn't hate it.
I thought the first half was okay. It was definitely like a worse version of like My Dress Up Darling or something.
Yeah, well, it sucks too because I've seen like stuff from the manga, and honestly, I feel like a lot of the fan service also got pretty like nerfed in the anime. Like, there's a pretty wide like variety of body types among the girls that you don't really get that kind of like sense of in the show. Like the blonde Gyaru type characters, almost has like abs and stuff.
Arya.
Yeah, whereas like who's like the stalker girl? Nonoa,
I think.
Yeah, she's like incredibly like thin, like borderline anorexic and stuff, and you kind of don't really get that in the show. And what you're left with is
very sterile.
Yeah, it's to a certain, it's very schlocky in a lot of ways. Like there's like this whole like detective bit where the main character Okumura, like they had to like figure out who this like mangaka is or whatever, and it's like,
that shit is so fucking stupid. Okay,
it's
they
so
introduced
funny.
this character. They introduced a new character who just happens to fit the.
Yeah.
Which, okay, before we get to that, the whole fucking show that they like in this show,
I have no idea what
fictional anime. Nobody knows what the fuck this is. It's like
is it a video game?
Amorphous
is it a manga?
show.
Is it a TV show? Wait, is she really popular or is she not that popular anymore? I don't understand.
Well, they initially show like it's just like the hero and like this girl and like her rival or whatever.
Right.
And then it's like, oh no, actually there's like a team of 4. And you're like, okay.
What?
And it's like, oh, actually the team of 4 was actually only in a spin-off. And you're like,
what?
All right. Oh, this character is actually from like a gacha game. This one's from another. Like, wow, okay.
I don't understand.
I don't know what the fuck was happening anymore.
The world is going dark.
So they keep introducing these new characters to like fill these roles for her, the cosplay group with them. They introduced this Gyaru character, Arya.
Yeah. Every arc basically kind of just resets the show. It becomes like a different, like, Arya basically is the main character, it feels like.
For like 5 episodes.
Yeah.
And it's just like, what the fuck?
And then it kind of like goes back and it's like this like beach episode stuff.
Oh, yeah. There's like 2 episodes of that.
Oh, yeah. Wait, no. But I'm also like skipping over like the stuff that they're doing at Komiket.
Yeah, where they see the other cosplayer or whatever.
Yeah.
So the Arya thing is so fucking like that actually pissed me off. I'm like, this is fucking stupid.
I was laughing my ass off.
So like they introduced this character.
Oh my god! And like, and the payoff to that arc though, where they're like yelling at each other in public, their feelings, and I'm just pissing myself because it's like so over the top.
It's so bad. Like, so she wants to cosplay as a certain character because like her dad was the manga made this character or whatever, and this like canned manga that didn't go anywhere, kind of shit, whatever. But he knows what it was, and like sent the mangaka a letter for it or whatever.
Yeah.
But he's like, oh wow, you know this fucking obscure manga that ran in Shonen Jump and got canceled.
Obscure
Shonen
Jump manga.
And then she comes on board, cosplays as this other character, and then she, like at some point she thinks that her dad died.
Yeah.
Because she wanted to cosplay as this character to like get her dad's attention, but then she's like, oh no, my dad's dead. And then they do like they do the detective work that he was
so convoluted and insane.
And he's like, oh, I noticed like people draw their ears very specific ways. And your dad drew the ears of this character this way. And look at the spin-off manga for Risa. He draws the ears the same way. So your dad is the mangaka for the Lisa manga.
Like,
or whatever
what is happening?
Yeah, it's like, what?
What?
And then I fucking hate when they do this, like, and there's not even like a good explanation for it, right? When they do this like stupid, like, oh, every character here is like instrumental to this like weird cosmic thing, right? Where Okamura sent the letter to her dad, who then was able to keep going on as a mangaka
Yeah.
and started drawing the Lyrisa spin-off.
It's
and then
weird
they
because, like, I mean, that can work in like some kinds of stories, but it needs to be much more like a central focus.
yeah.
This is just kind of
And,
like a
like,
thing that happens.
It's
Although,
just so like,
I guess it kind of makes sense because it feels like there may be like 5,000 people that live in Tokyo in total, with how like they keep running into the same people over and over and over again.
yeah, there's only like 10 people.
Yeah, how
honestly.
small everything feels. And like,
Comic
oh
Cat
yeah,
only
they all
has, like,
know
100
each other,
people.
of course.
It's so bad, dude. I fucking hate this fucking series.
I would honestly much rather read the manga just because I think I like how the girls look in that much better.
I feel bad like constantly comparing it to My Dress Up Darling because it's like that's not even
it's
like
such
fair.
an unfavorable comparison.
But it's I just fucking watch My Dress Up Darling. Fuck this show. Fuck, I get nothing out of it. It's so bad.
Why is there a graded like collector, like it's in like a plastic case copy of like volume 1 first printing of the manga for sale on eBay for $300 pre-owned?
I don't know.
That's I don't know. Yeah, it's I mean, I guess our initial complaint of it was going to be like a romance thing kind of stopped being applicable because it stopped having a romantic element until it came back in like the last episode.
Okamura just becomes like a side character in his own series.
Yeah, which that's fine. Again, I think girls are cute, but
it's fine because we don't like the character. It's not fine in the sense that like it plays into the complaints we had in at least the first half, where it's like this dude has like become a side character in his own life, where he's like, oh, I'm a otaku. I like manga and anime, and he just puts all of that aside. Oh my god! What the fuck is this?
That's a concerningly lean and ripped. What the fuck?
That's fucking disgusting.
Oh, this is so fucking silly.
I fucking hate this. I fucking hate this series so much.
Girls are cute. I guess go check out the manga. They seem to be cuter there, honestly. Yeah, I'm looking at pages right now. It's like there's so much more ass and stuff than in the anime. Anime tones it down. It's just kind of like, why are we even here? What's the point?
I don't care. Fuck the show. Fuck this series. I don't care.
Moving on to something else that is gets my dick going. Male. What the hell's the title of this?
How I went to an all guys mixer?
Yeah, How I Attended an All Guys Mixer. Something I need to get back to watching because I really like this show. This is a good show.
Oh, you didn't finish it? The fuck? You haven't finished any of these.
I know.
What are you doing?
Listen, I had a work trip and then Thanksgiving trip like 2 weeks in November and just completely crippled me.
Shaking my damn head.
Fucked up, but yeah. I don't know. This show is awesome. I think part of the reason I haven't finished it is because it's hard for me to watch the episodes because it's like, oh god, you're killing me. You can't do this to me. Oh god. Oh no. Oh, I'm not going to heaven. Oh no, I've sinned. Oh no. Which I guess like the premise is kind of baked into the title, but not really. Where it's like a group of these college guys. They go to this mixer to meet some girls, and they're surprised when they get there, and it's actually 3 guys. But it turns out they're not actually guys; they're girls that like dress up as guys for like this
crossplay bar.
Yeah, at this bar they work at, which is awesome. It's the greatest thing ever. And they all have like different dynamics going. Like there's the main one who has this kind of like princely like aura to them. So like all the girls also love her because they all think that she's like this like princely guy. You have the purple haired one who is paired with the clueless guy, the purple haired one like draws like dojinshi, um, and she's like kind of like insecure about the guy, Asagi, the clueless guy, finding out like what kind of stuff she draws. But then also uses him as a model.
You say insecure. I don't know. She doesn't come on like she's not like an apprehensive character. She's just like trying to avoid him figuring it out because he's like innocent, and she's just like, that's poor innocent soul. And she's like such a cynical character.
And then there's the best one, the cute brown tomboy,
Kohaku.
Yes. I don't have anything else to say about this show, apart from it's hard for me to watch because it's just too cute for me, and I watch it, I'm just like
It does have like interesting kind of explorations of like gender and stuff.
Yeah.
Where like the main conflict, I guess, between Hagi and Kohaku getting together is he's like, oh, she looks like a guy. I'm not gay.
I'm not gay.
I feel so weird. And then like the payoff, they give a payoff where he finally sees her as a girl, like dressed in a yukata or whatever at a festival.
Oh yeah.
And he's like, she's so cute. I love her, but I feel like I'm cheating. Like I like her as the guy now. What the fuck? This is so weird. And so it's like exploring like, you know, having these sort of dualities and these dual sides, and like liking somebody for who they are underneath despite their outward appearances and shit. Like it's got some cool stuff going on that you can kind of latch onto and appreciate.
But it's one of those shows that appeals to perverts like me.
Yeah.
And seemingly a lot of people. Just take a look at the designs of the show, and if it's something that you think you would enjoy, probably will. If you're anything like me, at least. There is also a J-drama version of it.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I'm trying to find a picture to show you what the characters look like, but they're all, here we go. This is like what the girls look like. But yeah, that's how I attended an all-guys mixer. Next, let's talk about Acro. What?
You did?
What?
You said that's how I attended all guys mixer. You did? I didn't know you did.
No, I don't go outside.
Was it because of the show? Oh.
Women.
They're pretty cute.
Women don't talk to me. They run from me.
Well, that's why you attended an all guys mixer.
Men hide their like children from me.
Oh, men do?
Yeah, everyone does.
Oh. You must be pretty grotesque if men are having to hide their children. I
know, right? For some reason, people think I look like a pedophile or something.
I like to fuck my cat.
Speaking of fucking cats, Acro Trip.
There's a cat in this show.
What did you think of Acro Trip?
It's all right.
I liked it. I thought it was really fun. I thought it was really cute and wholesome. And
people seem to like this more as like an alternative for Gushing or Magical Girls.
Yes,
it's not really an alternative. Like it's similar like concept. Very
so the basic idea is this girl who really likes magical girls basically ends up being recruited to be like a villain, and that's it. That's the like main similarity. And it's people say that because it's like there's no like rape or anything in the show. It's much more wholesome and nice.
But it's not anywhere near the same.
No. But I really liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I like how like the villainy in the show is just like really petty and just like not really that evil. So it's just these things just kind of happen, and it's like, oh no, how are people going to be able to stop all the ice cream from melting? And we're not going to have any ice cream on this hot summer day. Oh, we need the magical girl to like save the day or something like that.
It's not even really even on that level. Like it's not even destruction of he literally like flips a mat over or something, and he's like, I've caused trouble for the
I'm going to turn this stop sign upside down. What a dastardly
now
deed.
People will have to spend an extra like 0.05 seconds registering what the sign says.
I don't know. I really like stuff like that. I think it's really fun and endearing to watch. And yeah, I don't know. It's fun characters. I like the hijinks. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I guess if you wanted gushing over magical girls but didn't like the rape or BDSM, I don't know. At least check this out. It is a magical girl show, so if you're a magical girl fan, you are obliged to at least consider it.
Check it out. It's interesting. I guess.
Yeah, you didn't really get much out of it.
No, I didn't get anything out of this.
Oh, I thought it was really funny.
It's like not even. It's not really even like a magical girl show. I don't know.
No, it is a magical. It's a magical girl show.
Like the fucking premise is like Chizuku is a normal otaku girl. It's like she's not an otaku.
No,
like,
she is.
No, she was she's just like a normal kid. And then she goes to the city, like sees a magical girl. She's like, oh, I really like her. This is interesting. But she's not like a magical girl otaku up to that point.
Oh, I see what you mean. Like before that
like
point.
I mean, you could say she's like an otaku for Berry Blossom, I guess, specifically. Yeah. Like after this, but like as a premise, like she was not a normal otaku. She's like a normal kid, and then like sees the magical girl. She's like, oh, this is really interesting. I'm going to devote my life to this now.
That's what happens to all otaku, don't you know? That's the process.
Yeah, sorta.
I don't know. Yeah, fun show. If you're looking for anything particularly like serious or really strong emotional stakes, it doesn't really have that. It's just kind of like silly and whimsical. Even when it does get more serious, it's just kind of like, minor inconvenience.
Yeah, it's
movie wanted more like commentary, interesting stuff coming out of it.
Listen, all right, people will shit on gushing over magical girls, and I get it.
Is there scat
not liking rape and stuff? Huh? No.
Shitting all over? Is there scat?
Not that kind of shit. No.
Okay.
The the metaphorical shitting on.
I understand.
People will shit on it, but there's a lot going on under the hood.
Yeah.
That this does not have.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a 1-to-1 replacement or alternative. Right.
It's different strokes for different folks. You know what I mean? You know what I mean.
We got a lot of different strokes.
Speaking of strokes, last thing we're going to talk about, which is still ongoing, Blue Box.
This gave me a stroke.
Yeah, it's very cute. So I guess for context, Blue Box is like a romance anime adaptation of we did not expect this to be a Shonen Jump manga. Because it doesn't really have that kind of what?
I did.
You did?
I knew it was a Shonen Jump manga.
Sure. Wait, did you know before going into this?
Yeah, I mean, Blue Box is like pretty high regarded.
Really? I had not heard of it prior.
People were hyping this up. Like, people were hyping up the manga. Mm-hmm. I heard people like being like, "Oh, it's such a good manga," blah blah blah. So when the anime got announced, I was like, "Oh, this will be interesting."
Mm-hmm. I don't know. I got it mixed up with all the other like blue manga, like Blue Lock and Blue Period. What?
Blue Abadi Abadai.
Blue Dragon. Movie, what did you think of this show?
So I guess for context, it's basically a
explain it, yeah.
Shonen romance.
Yeah.
Where these two characters, the Taiki, and Shinatsu. They're into sport. They go into a school that's kind of known for sports.
Yeah.
Taiki's into badminton, and then Shinatsu is into basketball.
And she's not as good as Sakuragi.
Not as good as Sakuragi. She cannot dunk on anybody.
No.
But yeah, it's
basically through these circumstances they end up moving, like she ends up moving into Taiki's house and he already has like a crush on her. So it kind of starts this sort of like touch and go kind of romance, basically, where they both like each other, but at the same time don't want to like start up any sort of relationship so that like the other can focus on their like respective sport, essentially. Like, I don't want to get with her because she's like, really focused on basketball. She's like, I don't want to, get with him because like he's really focused on badminton and all that stuff.
Well, that's kind of the initial thought process. But it works because they establish really well that how kind of considerate they are.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the thought process they initially have, but then that becomes kind of an excuse where they kind of both, it feels like they kind of both know, right? That like, oh, we can, because you do get these characters who are a couple that are still pursuing their, endeavors, whatever, right?
Right.
And so they both, it gets to a point where they both kind of know, like, we could get into a relationship without necessarily crippling our goals toward whatever one.
But then it becomes complicated, Moomy.
It becomes not even getting into that.
Well,
but
no. What I'm saying is like, but if they did that, it would complicate their relationship because they're also
right because they are living together.
Yeah,
and so like there's kind of like Taiki has like doubts still that she would be into him.
Yeah,
because she is older. She is popular with other guys or whatever. Like not getting around or something.
Yeah,
but like other characters.
He's also worried that if they do get into a relationship, every guy in school will beat the living shit out of him.
I don't know how much of a worry that is, but like, yeah, he's like, I don't want to like rock the boat and then like her not like me and then like put her in this weird position where she's living with some dude that like she feels like is creeping on him or whatever.
Right.
So like it makes a lot of sense. Like their kind of delicate balance they got going on. As a romance, it's interesting because it's one of those romances that's focused on other things.
Yeah.
It's not focused solely on like their kind of dynamic and them getting together. A lot of it is about like sports.
Yeah, they both have like their own goals and things going on outside of like this relationship that they have.
Right. And it makes it interesting because we mentioned My Dress Up Darling earlier.
Yeah.
It kind of is like that in a sense where like it allows for these two characters to kind of appreciate what the other character is into or like motivated towards in a way that is not just them like being in it. Like they're not both into basketball. They're not both into badminton. They're not both into anime or like otaku stuff. But they're able to appreciate each other, like the things that each other enjoys from a similar level.
Right.
And at the same time, a different perspective because they are into something that's sort of like has an overlap in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Blue Box is not as like integrated or like complex as like My Dress Up Darling. But like them being able to appreciate like the hard work that they're putting in.
There's a sort of mutual admiration between the two as well, which that also ties into the third character because there's a love triangle element as if it wasn't complicated enough. Best girl Hina, who
honestly, it's not even really a competition.
Not
it's
really.
Sad.
Well, it's just like, oh no, she's a childhood friend. Oh no, she's getting cucked. Oh no. Oh god.
Oh no, she has a personality. Oh no, she's fun.
No. Oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no, she does like what is it, like gymnastics, I believe, ballet, gymnastics. Gymnastic dance, something along those lines. And it focuses on like stuff that goes on with her as well, which is really nice. Like, she's like, I can't
rhythmic gymnastics is what it's called.
She needs to like manage her like calorie intake in order to maintain a certain weight. At one point she like trips and like, like worries that she may have like fucked up her ankle and starts like panicking very suddenly. But then Taiki comes in and it's like, and this sucks. Why the fuck did you do this, you fucking assholes?
Fucking masochist.
And then they also have another side character that I really, really like. And I wish more like romance shows had this kind of character where Taiki has his friend that he just kind of tells everything to. And his friend is kind of just the one that's like removed from the situation and looks at everything like objectively and just understands what's going on. He's just like tried to like explain this to his friend. He's like, yeah, I can see the problem there you're dealing with, buddy.
We don't ever say. I feel like there are characters like that in other romance series.
It is funny just to have like a character that's just kind of like unbothered by any of the drama.
Yeah, he hadn't been in it a lot though. Now I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, but he's staying in his own lane and stuff. He's he's a character for like other characters to kind of like vent to.
Yeah.
Um,
I've really been enjoying this adaptation though.
You said it had a lot of hype.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, visually it's really nice. You said I had a lot of hype going into it. I have not seen a lot of people talk about this show, if I'm going to be honest.
No, well, like again, it is a popular, like relatively popular manga.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's Shonen Jump, so
yeah.
like,
well, yeah, and it's a Shonen Jump series that has been around for a while. So
been around.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've not really heard people talk about the anime either.
No, just probably 'cause it's on Netflix. So I would expect it, get a little bit more like focus, but maybe it's just like, I don't know, people who I would usually see talk about anime on like Twitter or whatever don't really watch stuff on Netflix. I don't know. But yeah, if you really want a nice like romance stuff, I think Mumi, you brought up like it does stuff that you don't see in a lot of other like shonen romances in terms of like there's a good focus on like
it's very intimate. Yeah, it's very
sensory information.
It does a lot of the show, like I see that a lot more like shoujo. Not every shoujo does that, but it's very focuses on like these kind of like intimate kind of things.
Their body heat or weight or like the like smell of like shampoo in their hair, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, visually, I would say is very good.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think like a lot of stuff I liked visually was kind of early on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's done anything that I'm like wowed by, but it's also not gotten worse.
No, it's definitely not fallen off at all. I think it's like it initially impressed us visually, and then it's just generally kind of maintained that.
Well, I think there was some stronger shot composition with introductions.
Maybe a little bit, yeah.
Like I'm thinking like the shot of like him seeing her sitting on the steps early in the morning. When they touch hands or whatever, when they're like he's handing her the basketball. Like there's some strong shot composition there, and I don't feel like there's been as strong. Like even in like the confession thing, whatever the fuck that was, or like the fireworks. Those were kind of like standout moments in the show. I don't even think they've had like a standout shot, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess I could see what you mean. But yeah, definitely check out Blue Box. It's still currently airing to Cour, so we'll probably talk about it a little bit at the end of winter 2025. But yeah, I think that wraps up literally everything. We have now exhaustively talked about everything that we like watched to some degree for the fall 2024 season. And it only took 3 hours.
We talked about this like, we're going to be like an hour a week, and then we drop a 3 hour.
Like, oh God, fucking damn it. Don't worry. I'm doing less editing anyway. Like I have an idea that I want to test out. So, but yeah. Wait,
well, you're not going to talk about One Piece fan letter?
Yeah, I didn't watch that.
Oh. Well, I mean, it's pretty